having money ain't a thing. Standing on business, burning hotter than a flame. From the block to the boardroom, you gotta stand the rain. B-Eazy Dat Dude, yeah, they know the name. Stacking up the paper, but having money ain't a thing. Standing on business, burning hotter than a flame. From the block to the boardroom, you gotta stand the rain. Big block engine with 26 inches on the chrome I ride. Started at the bottom, soared to the top and still on the ride. Air handshake solid, seal the deal airtight. He gave you the blueprint to grind and get your hustle right. Money in the vision, it was dirty but he washed it clean. Turned the dollar to a dream, now he living like a king. From the late nights grinding to the early bird moves. Ask around the city, he really that dude. He love how he talk it cause he walk it through. Every step calculated, everything come through. From the hood by the views, yeah, the rooftop views. He the bridge between the struggle and the good life view. Never fold under pressure, shine like a diamond in the sun. Every loss was a lesson, every win is hard won. Now the crowd chant his name when he steps in the room. B-Eazy Dat Dude, yeah, you know he's the truth. B-Eazy Dat Dude, yeah, they know the name. Stacking up the paper, but having money ain't a thing. Standing on business, burning hotter than a flame. From the block to the boardroom, you gotta stand the rain. B-Eazy Dat Dude, yeah, they know the name. Stacking up the paper, but having money ain't a thing. Standing on business, burning hotter than a flame. From the block to the boardroom, you gotta stand the rain.
Yeah, yeah. Listen up. It's B-Eazy Dat Dude, the great. He ain't fake, he one of the real guys. Spin fire every stream, you been late to the party, now it's time to realize. From Pittsburgh to around the world, yeah, the flow is elite. Every beat that he slide on turns into straight heat. Came up from the grind, selling box on a laptop, running up a bag, feel like he hit the jackpot. Got the luxury visions, ambition vivid, never bluff. Purses, progress, persevere when the going gets tough. B-Eazy Dat Dude, got stripes in the game. Every rhyme, every line, they gon' remember the name. From the streets to the stage, the energy don't fade. Legend in the making, yeah, history's what he's laid. Mic in his hand, heart in the flow and soul on every beat. Dropping knowledge, power, bravado, his legacy complete. Hustle amplified, lyrics electrified, that's the truth. B-Eazy Dat Dude, established with certified proof. Feel the bass, feel the vibe, let it ride through the crowd. All the words, every hook, man, he keeps making us proud. King of his lane, rising above every feud. All hail the one and only, one and only, one and only. B-Eazy Dat Dude. Yeah. Yeah.
Turn your radios up. Turn your radios up. Y'all know what this is. Y'all know who this is. B-Eazy Dat Dude, an impromptu stream, back with another one. This one is gonna be a banger. Most definitely will ruffle some feathers. So it will be a doozy. It is late, so I don't like to keep y'all waiting. So before we get this thing started, you know, I gotta hit you.
If you know the song, sing along. Yeah, you're right.
私も地元民と言っても実際に世代です。もう友達できたの？うん。グッドファンのこっちに。
No, you've been a regular. None of your competitors. Better catch up like 10 steps ahead. Look, this promethazine got me leaning like a cholo in the club. I'm 20 deep. I don't be riding solo. Pull some bad bitches, they vanilla and cocoa. They wanna take some photos when we kick it out in Soho. Chicks are showing tits and popping pussy for my promo. Told them like juvenile, baby, move it for me slow facts about me that y'all didn't know. Some of y'all be getting bread, but I be getting bigger, dog. I got bigger guns and a whole lot of bad. And we are activated, and we've already been joined by some illustrious guests. Y'all just let me know if y'all have any issues hearing me, or if you hear me loud and clear, let me know in the chat. So of course we got to give a shout out to none other than Shah Gra King. We got FBA family in the building with Tutneys, and none other than Big Rig Slaps. What it did do in building. Now we're gonna get right into this thing. Like I said, it will ruffle some feathers, so let me go ahead and pull these banners down. I won't be here for a long time, but y'all know it will be a strong time. Now let's discuss delineation, right? I'm gonna try to tackle it from various different angles. And when it comes to the delineation, there's a delineation movement, but I call it the delineation process. And some people are unfamiliar with the term, but they are familiar with the practice of delineation. So let me give a preface to the discussion of delineation. So let me pull this down real quick. So let me go ahead and get right up here. Okay. So y'all should be able to see this, right? So why delineation matters for many ethnic groups, right? This doesn't just apply to FBAs. This applies to any ethnic group, because it's all about intellectual sovereignty, right? I'm trying to see if I can get this little arrow out the way. Hold on. I'll have to do it like this, okay? All right. So how delineation applies to the FBA identity, right? First, why does it matter? Lineage shapes culture, food, music, language patterns, migration history, and traditions differ, right? To just lump that all under one pseudo-ethnic, pseudo-race category, which people say is a social construct. If it's a social construct, then why are you adhering to it without giving any type of resistance to some of the narratives, right? And then if you believe that it is a social construct, then you believe that it is fluid. It's based on what the society is constructing and adhering to, right? It requires some level of capitulation, accordance, and agreement, right? So when you lump people up into these just broad generalized categories to say that, hey, you're Hispanic or Latino of African descent, you're supposed to cling on to some vague similarities, which are sometimes extremely nebulous, and they're concocted and manufactured. But then when you start, taking notes and comparing notes, you say, oh, there are similarities, but many of the similarities are in what? Skin pigment, a belief in some mythical utopia. Because when you say, hey, what did you grow up eating? Oh, I grew up eating tandoori chicken, naan and curry, a goosey soup, bush meat, lamb, goat, whatever it is. I didn't grow up eating any of that. I'm not saying it's bad or good or anything. What I'm saying is that it's a different experience, a different culture, a different tradition. There's nothing wrong with acknowledging that. I appreciate being able to experience different people's culture. What I don't appreciate is people cosplaying and tethering to a culture that they're not a part of, and I wouldn't want to do the same. So the historical experiences differ. Even when people share a racial category, their ancestors may have lived through different events, right? Some people are descendants of enslaved people. Some people are descendants of slave owners, right? To just lump the people together and say, y'all all the same, Actually, it's not. There are distinctions. No, and I'm not saying this one is better because of their lineage. What I'm saying is different. I've said this multiple times, and people understand it when it comes to other groups. It's just they seem to give a lot of resistance when it comes to FBAs, and you have to wonder why that is. It comes from a place of, I say, some very sinister and insidious nature, because as soon as I point out the hypocrisies, all you hear here is crickets. People don't have anything logical or rational to retort with. So they start making claims of xenophobia and all sorts of ad hominem attacks. So when it comes to policy and reparative justice, often they depend on lineage. Specific groups may have unique historical claims. When the Japanese were paid reparations for the internment, right? Japanese people are Asian. There weren't Asian reparations paid simply for you being Asian. It was for a specific ethnic group and nationality of Asians, right? So when we're talking about the reparations, right? Somebody could say, hey, you're black, I'm black, I deserve it too. You're African, I'm African, right? And this is why people drop that term African American, right? And this is going to lead into my next story. There's a Senegalese man who went on this deranged shooting. Senegal is in Africa. He's African. He comes to America. He becomes an American citizen. Now he's American and he's African. So he's African American. Oh, he's just like you. Y'all have the same history. No, I don't. I wasn't born in Senegal. I don't know what it's like to be in Senegal. Maybe it was great for him in Senegal. Of course, I'm being facetious because he wouldn't have fled here if it was that great. You know what I mean? But, and I'm not trying to denigrate or disparage. I'm just saying that there are differences. There are some people in Africa that live better there than some people live here. They just come here as treating America as an extraction hub, which, if the law and the country permits you to do that, fine. But what we're saying is just stop pretending as if you came here to build some unity. You came here to extract. And there was a lady, I'll try to find the video, where she says, they come over here not to unite with us. They come over here to take. Many of them see us as lazy and entitled. Look at this is the land of milk and honey. What are you complaining about, right? So that's what they think. They think that you should be worshiping white people, and they think that these opportunities that we have weren't fought for. They were just given to us just by the virtue of us being black. But, that's not further from the truth. But also cultural preservation requires clarity, right? So when we're talking about samurais and ninjas, right, we can say that that's Asian culture. But to preserve the culture, we need specificity. Which Asian group? Filipinos are Asians. Is samurai and ninjas, is that Dinesh D'Souza and Vivek Ramaswamy's culture? They're Asian, right? So whose culture is it? Is samurai's Filipino culture? They're Asian. Is samurai's Thailand people's culture? They're Asian. So this is what we want with cultural specificity. So when we say we created hip hop and people try to say, no, black people or people of color or marginalized groups created hip hop. No, that's not true. It was a specific lineage of people. Other people came later and contributed, but a contribution is not a creation. So we have a distinct historical lineage. Foundational Black Americans descend, and this is where I disagree with, because it's incomplete, but many descend from Africa and many are indigenous to the land. But even the people that descend from Africa, they are rooted with a multitude of generations here, that whatever ties to Africa had been severed centuries ago. So the specific experience of chattel slavery in the U.S., generations of forced labor, family separation, and cultural suppression, Reconstruction, Jim Crow, redlining, and civil rights struggles unique to the U.S. context. So you can't just immigrate into that, right? You can't immigrate into a lineage of Jim Crow and say, hey, look, man, we got the same skin tone. Your family went through Jim Crow and got hung. My family didn't go through that, but I immigrated here and we have the same skin tone. So it's kind of like I went through it too, right? Doesn't really make any sense. So these unique cultural and historical events are what shape and forge our specific identity here. And it's not interchangeable with the Caribbean, African, or Afro-Latino histories, right? And that's why I said, you can't just say samurai history that Filipinos could take credit for because they're both Asian. So FBA culture includes, but not limited to, spirituals, which is why they call them Negro spirituals, gospel, blues, jazz, hip hop, and other uniquely American Black art forms. So at least even this co-pilot knows that we created all of those art forms. Now, they could have added rock and country on there as well because we created those, but distinct dialects and linguistic patterns, AAVE, which I call BAVE, Black American Vernacular Ebonics, culinary traditions, soul food, the Southern Black cuisine is not called Southern African cuisine because it was a different terrain, which means we had access to different spices, right? They probably had some spices that was delicious, but it was different than what we had. We can't just try to act like it is the same. So social, political, and community institutions built over centuries, right? So the institutions that we built here, you can't just immigrate and say, yeah, these institutions are hundreds of years old, but hey, I'm here now, so I could take credit for it too. Why would you want to take credit for it? Why won't you just want to learn and appreciate that you're even able to attend? You know what I mean? So, these are not just generic Black experiences. They are specific to the FBA lineage, a distinct political and economic history because FBA ancestors built the U.S. under slavery and endured centuries of discriminatory policy. Many people argue that reparations claims are lineage specific. Civil rights gains were driven largely by FBA activism. Policies that target Black people broadly may dilute the specific harms done to FBA communities. So someone like Cynthia Erivo, who is a Black, or let's say how she appropriately identifies, she is a Nigerian British woman who came to America and now she's Black. So me and Cynthia Erivo don't have the same history. Same thing with Idris Elba. He was born in Britain, comes over, cheerio, would you like a spot of tea? I mean, that's how he talks. I like that accent, right? But I don't have an accent like that. He had to learn from FBAs to mimic our accents so that he can play in The Wire, right? So we're putting all of these things in context to say that, look, we're tired of just being a cultural doormat and dumping ground. When people have trash, they dump it here, dump it on. That's Black Americans. But then when they get a win, they want to delineate and hold it up to the heavens high and say, this is a win for Ghana or Nigeria or Senegal. So if you win a trophy and award and you want to big up Senegal, when you do a crime, we're going to put Senegalese person commits a crime, not Black person commit a crime, not African American, nothing. Whatever ethnic identifier you are that you've been proud to fly the flag of, it's a beautiful thing. Just keep that same energy all the time. You get a master's degree. Yes, I'm Nigerian. You commit a crime. I'm Black just like you. No, nigga, you're Nigerian. So I can go on, but let's just get into the video. I think that was enough of a preface. Y'all get my drift of where we're going with the delineation. And like I said, it's the delineation process. So let me get ready to pull this video up. And this is going to be a video that I'm reacting to from Professor Black Truth. He talks about this Senegalese man who went on a deranged warpath in Austin, Texas, and he deleted 3 people. Some people are saying it was a sleeper cell, an agent, a false flag. And many people believe this is all a distraction, a weapon of mass distraction, so that people are not talking about the pedophiles. Let's get into it. But the topic of discussion is delineation, FBA delineation, more specific. And there's another thing too, right? Delineation doesn't mean denigration. Delineation doesn't mean that we can't unify. It's just we're going to unify with specificity. If there's a zoo exhibit, I don't want to put a leopard and a jaguar and say these are the same cat, right? No, it should have a specific information about the jaguar and the differences, and specific information about the leopard and its differences. Yeah, they can be in the same habitat if it permits it, right? You know, they're 2 cats that you would say are the same species, right? But a jaguar is not a leopard, and to pretend that it is, you know, a form of intellectual dereliction. Let's just get into it now.
I'm the professor, and this is the moment of truth. By now, everybody knows that Donald Trump is paying back the political contributions that he got from the Israel lobby in the form of taking care of one of their long dreamt of plans, which is to knock off the regime in Iran. As a result, early yesterday morning in an Austin...
And just to be clear, if y'all want to watch this video, you can watch it uninterrupted at Professor Black Truth's channel. It's titled Senegalese Man in Austin Kills 2 for Islam. Let's get into it.
Bar, a gunman wearing clothes with an Iranian flag design and the words "property of Allah" on it, used both a pistol and a rifle to carry out an attack that killed 2 people and wounded 14. Police in Austin shot and killed the gunman. The FBI is investigating the shooting as a potential act of terrorism since it happened the day after the U.S. and Israel launched their attack on Iran. The gunman has been identified, and according to the Department of Homeland Security, he was 53-year-old Ndiaga Diagne. Diagne was originally from Senegal, and he first entered the U.S. in 2000 on a tourist visa. But obviously he had no plans whatsoever to return to Senegal because he became a lawful permanent resident 6 years later after he married a U.S. citizen. He then became a naturalized U.S. citizen in 2013. Obviously, he's remained in the United States ever since. And this is what he's been doing during his time here. Apparently, this is what he thinks is important to him.
Yeah, so let me try to run that image back. So many of these people come over here and they identify with more, and I talked to an African, they said that they come over here, they identify with their nation state, right? So this dude is Senegalese. So he identifies with being Senegalese first. Then he identifies with being an immigrant second. Then he identifies with being an African. Then he identifies with being a black. So it's being black or melanated is like 4th or 5th on his value structure. But when it comes to a foundational Black American, we lead with blackness, right? Yes, we stand on business for our soil in our motherland, which is America, but we lead with blackness, which is why we are the ones who popularized black. How many times have y'all heard goofy Negroes saying, why y'all call yourselves black? Black is just a color, right? There's no country called black. There's no country called Africa either, right? So fine, if you don't want to call yourself black, there's no gun to your head forcing you. And then when we say, you know what, you ain't black, You can't gatekeep blackness. Oh, which one is it, right? You don't want to be black. And then we say, fine, you ain't black. We will hold the mantle and carry the banner proud of blackness. And then suddenly everybody wants to be black again. We say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. Not say it loud, I'm African American and I'm proud. We just had Black History Month, right? It wasn't Black African History Month. We are the ones who stood up and stood for blackness. All these other groups used to be saying, I'm not black, I'm Nigerian. I'm not black, I'm Haitian. I'm not black, I'm Congolese. I know black poppy, right? So we've heard this for decades. And then when they come over here, they identify with more immigrants than they do with blackness. Why? Because they come from a continent and a country where it's filled with black people that look like them. But they're not identifying as black. They're identifying by various tribes / ethnic groups. On the continent of Africa, 54 countries, 3,000 plus tribes, 2,000 plus dialects. So people are living right next to people in close proximity, but they can't even do business with each other because it's from a different tribe and they don't speak their language. But rather than say, hey, we should all get on one accord and learn the language. No, I don't want to learn that language. That's not a part of my tribe. Then meanwhile, they have someone from the Lily W community come in and bring them a couple noodles and, some bags of rice. And they think that Jesus himself has graced the soil of Africa, right? This is how pathetic is God in many countries over here. And religion is a hell of a drug. This dude over here saying property of Allah. What has Allah done to help Africa? I mean, what has God or Jesus done to help Africa? Oh, hold on, my bad. Let me guess. It's God's plan, right? What's going on in Africa is God's plan. Oh, yeah, let me guess too. The genocide in Gaza, is that God's plan as well? Is Bibi Netanyahu bombing the Middle East to smithereens, is that Allah's plan? Fair questions to ask, right? Let's get back into it.
And this is what he's been doing during his time here. Apparently, this is what he thinks is important to him. Far as I'm concerned, this incident is off code as hell, not merely because we have this foreign flag doing this, but because this foreign flag went on a shooting rampage on behalf of, well, another foreign flag.
Well, this person actually did marry to get in. He married, and that's how he was able to become a naturalized citizen. And I actually recently spoke to a person who said that she had married some gay dude to get in, and she said, obviously, they never had any relationships or anything because he was gay, and it was just a sham marriage, but it was like the family. They were paid a lump sum of money. So it's big business, just like with the coyotes too, right? This is why they want many people coming through the country illegally, because that will dry up money for the cartel as well. If everybody is coming through the proper channels of entry and not entering the country illegally, then that dries up money for the cartel and the coyote, who get money off smuggling people into the country illegally. If there's legal means and pathways to citizenship, what they like to say, right? The money would dry up. But you have to think, why hasn't, since this is a nation of immigrants built by immigrants, right? Since there's this immigrant exceptionalism and both parties seem to love immigrants more than American citizens, fine. Where is the pathway to citizenship? Instead, both of them just play with politics and theatrics with the border, and they love for undocumented illegal people to be flooding in the country. So. And the other countries love it too, because it boosts their economy as well. But with the millions and millions of people coming in, it's no way that they're all going to get citizenship doing things the right way. So, it's going to be some scams, a bit chicanery going on, but who knows? Somebody may find them a mail order bride or chick or a dude who crossed the border, and it'd be love at first sight or first flight if they came on a visa. Let's get back into it.
2013. Obviously, he's remained in the United States ever since, and this is what he's been doing during his time here. Apparently, this is what he thinks is important to him. Far as I'm concerned, this incident is off code as hell, not merely because we have this foreign flag doing this, but because this foreign flag went on a shooting rampage on behalf of, well, another foreign flag that he's not even a citizen of. Senegal has all kinds of problems, such as the Arabs who are spreading their influence in the continent and pitting Africans against each other. But apparently this Diogny character doesn't have any smoke or fire on behalf of his own people. But it turns out that if the U.S. starts...
So this dude is Senegalese. Senegalese is in shambles right now. Instead of standing up for Senegal, he's standing up allegedly for Iran, an Arab nation that doesn't even give a flying fig about Senegal. And these are the people that we're supposed to unite with. These are the people that we're supposed to say, we all the same, we brothers. No. And then when we say, man, this nigga ain't like me, he ain't like us, why are y'all being divisive? I don't want to unify with this nigga.
It's a war against an Arab country. Suddenly he's going on the warpath and pitting Africans against each other. But apparently this Diogny character doesn't have any smoke or fire on behalf of his own people. But it turns out that if the U.S. starts a war against an Arab country, suddenly he's going on the warpath, and all in the name of religion. He has no smoke for black people being mistreated anywhere. He got here in 2000, so that meant that this guy was here for 20 years. He saw all of the mistreatment of black folks right here in this country, the very black people who made it possible for him to be here. He saw the uprisings in 2020, but apparently that didn't make much of an impression.
So, and this dude is the definition of a tether, not just because he's not of the FBA lineage, because he's not of our lineage. If he was of our lineage and he was doing these same antics, he would be a tap dancing Sambo and raccoon. Since he's not of the lineage, he is a tether, working to undermine us and working to misrepresent us. When they posted it, now most of the outlets, due to the delineation movement, most of the outlets have listed him as a Senegalese man. But there are some people that were pushing the African American, right? So we already have our own problems and issues, right? Imagine you was cheating, right? You was with a girl, and no one should be cheating on their partner. I'm just using an analogy, right? Imagine you was cheating on your girl, right? And you cheated on her with 2 people, right? But you got accused of cheating on her with 20 people. You like, damn, look, hey, I was wrong for cheating on you 2 times. I'm not holding the other 18 that you accused me of. You know, I'm not holding that, right? So if we get accused of crimes and nefarious activities, fine, right? We got issues, right? We will hold our filth. This is why I say every group have to hold your own nuts, hold your own filth, hold your own lineage, hold your own accomplishments. This is what accountability and personal responsibility looks like, right? So yes, we will say, oh, look, man, that was a goofy FBA that did that. Yep, that nigga was FBA, lock him up. Yep, that was an FBA. I don't agree with that. Oh, wow, that was an FBA. Great job, right? We will hold ourselves accountable, right? We will celebrate ourselves, but y'all gonna have to do the same thing, right? So this dude is Senegalese, you know, so hey, this ain't FBA business.
On him, far as he was concerned, he ain't one of the, I'm not one of these Akatas. I came here to see what I could get. That didn't bother him, but an Arab country comes under fire. And
could you elaborate and shout out to, hold on, what's the name? Cog in the Machine. What makes you believe it's a false flag? And I'm not doubting you. I theoretically do think it was a false flag, but what indicators have you seen or observed that makes you believe this is a false flag? And shout out to FBA Strong. I appreciate you, fam. And also Roger Meadows.
An Arab country that did absolutely nothing for him, and now he's so eager to make a big religious statement. Now, for any of the non-FBA family who may be listening to this, the point that I'm trying to make is this is the reason why we had to delineate. We are facing life and death issues here. We got a whole bunch of people who have been coming here for decades, generations, in fact. And this is the stuff that they're on. These tethers and foreign flags, they worship their white and Arab colonizers. Even after so-called independence, their non-black masters still have them on strings. They're willing to die.
Yeah, and I'm going to keep it real. This is why we can't unite with many people. Like many of y'all on the continent, you have to hold your own nuts and you have to really stop being a coward and a buck-broken buffoon, right? There's a lot of cowards in the FBA community, and we're going to call them out. We're going to point them out by name. Show me a platform of Africans calling out Africans by name, especially the ones in America. There are some outlets, but many of them are actually led by FBAs. Much of this, the most prominent Pan-Africans that you ever known are FBAs. Most of them, especially the most prolific ones, right? So we've always been pushing this. We all black. We all one big global Negro. We are the world. We are the children. How has that helped us? How has that served us? It hasn't. It's actually weakened us, and no other group does this, right? And it doesn't have to be hostile. The only reason why it's hostile is because people can't leech, tether, and use us as an extraction hub, right? People see blackness as something that they can just wear like a coat and discard, right? When it's convenient and advantageous for them, hey, I'm blackity black just like you. Otherwise, hey, I know black, papi. I'm Nigerian. I'm Senegalese, right? I'm Yoruba. I'm Fulani. I'm Igbo, right? Everything but black. Black is just a color in a crayon box. So is brown and so is white. Your country is being dominated by white people. White is a color in a crayon box. So you want to try that again? Let's get back into it.
The point that I'm trying to make is this is the reason why we had to delineate. We are facing life and death issues here. We got a whole bunch of people who have been coming here for decades, generations, in fact. And this is the stuff that they're on. These tethers and foreign flags, they worship their white and Arab colonizers. Even after so-called independence, their non-black masters still have them on strings. They're willing to die and even kill to impress these other people. The only thing the rest of the world sees when it looks at people like Diogny is that he's black. That's certainly the only thing the Arabs see. They don't see a Muslim. Blackness is what the world sees when it looks at him, but that's why the cops didn't even attempt to take him in alive. Had he been white, they would have, but he saw himself as a Muslim. Even though the Iranians wouldn't spit on him to save his life, he could never get into one of their mosques. This incident wasn't...
And this is what a lot of goofy melanated people like to do. Like I say, religion is a hell of a drug. So people will be identifying with Muslim, I'm a Muslim. Yeah, there's no race called Muslim. Look at a place like Dearborn, Michigan, right? It's supposed to be a hub and a haven for Muslims. But what type of Muslims, though, right? If you look at Philadelphia is one of a place where they have a bunch of black Muslims. So hold on, let me get this right. Being a Muslim is a religion. There's no race called Muslim. If we're supposed to be united by the faith, why y'all gotta make it about race? No, y'all made it about race. I go to Dearborn, Michigan. Where are the black Muslims, right? It's only certain Muslims of certain, Arab, Middle Eastern background. There's no race called Arab, and there's no race called Middle Eastern. There's no race called Muslim. So all of these ethnic identifiers framed as a pseudo race, but just start asking these people, what race actually are you? Yeah, you're Pakistani, but there's no race called Pakistani. You're Arab and Muslim, but that's not a race. And I asked you what your race is, right? Someone like Vivek Ramaswamy is considered Asian. That's what his race is, right? But then he'll also will say that he's Brahmin. That's his ethnic and cultural identifier. There's no race called Brahmin. And you can say that race is a social construct. Fine, it is. Just like the Brahmin caste system is a social construct. Just like white supremacy is a social construct, and Christianity is a social construct.
They don't see a Muslim. Blackness is what the world sees when it looks at him, but that's why the cops didn't even attempt to take him in alive. Had he been white, they would have, but he saw himself as a Muslim. Even though the Iranians wouldn't spit on him to save his life, he could never get into one of their mosques. This incident wasn't some bold act of self-respect. It was a blatant act of self-contempt. He immolated himself for absolutely no reason whatsoever. He didn't know or care what he was. He only knew what he wanted to be. In this case, he wanted to be an Arab. Whatever's going on over there in the Middle East, it has nothing to do with us, so I'm not taking any sides. Sure, we can observe, we can give analyses, and we can explain why it's happening. But as far as we're going to take a side and say who's right and who's wrong, this is just another argument among the same gang of thugs we've had to contend with over which one of them is going to be barking out orders and who's going to be taking them. But this is why delineating from these fools was a great move. We have spent hundreds of years pushing Black empowerment and Black unity. But the problem is too many of these immigrants have come here and the only thing on their minds is how do they prove that they can get in good with the dominant society here or that they can prove their loyalty to some other regime.
So FBA Strong says, why wear a shirt connecting you to a group while you're committing an act that will get many people's attention? It's like an advertisement. And this is why people are saying that it was a false flag. It was staged. And apparently when they searched his car, it had a Quran in it. So it just seemed like everything was planted precisely and perfectly to shape this narrative because they wanted to keep framing the Iranian regime as this big bad boogeyman. Meanwhile, you have Israel presiding over a grotesque genocide. You can't say that about Iran, right? They're defending themselves, right? They're doing retaliatory strikes and they're being framed as the bully, right? Israel hit them first. They already assassinated their two top leaders, right? Both times with Trump in office. And then when you strike back, they say that Iran is like, a hotbed for terror. Israel is the most genocidal terrorist organization in the Middle East. And it looks like last call. Salute to you and Z Sarah. I think that Z Sarah, will the real Z Sarah please stand up? Salute to you. And December says propaganda. Could you elaborate? What is propaganda? I just want to know specifically what you're talking about before I respond.
Outside of the U.S. This is why delineating was necessary. These people have proven that they're willing to fight for anything except themselves. And they'll make all kinds of excuses.
And I'm going to play it back, but this shows you also how cowardly many people are. And this is just not about Senegalese people. This is about any immigrant that fled their homeland. I get it. It was rough over there, but how are you going to flee your homeland? Don't fight there. And then you come to America, the land of the milk and honey, and then you don't fight for the foundational Black Americans, the ones who made it possible for you to be here. You fight for people that are oppressing your own lineage, your own country, and wouldn't spit on you if you were on fire. How pathetic could you be? And then people turn around and say, you guys need to unite with people. I'm not uniting with somebody just because they have the same level of melanin as me. There's people that are lighter than me and more writers than many of these people that are, dark as Adebisi's, right? So it's not just about skin pigment, which is why they say all skin folk ain't kinfolk. Just because you may have some phenotypical similarities or we have the same skin pigment doesn't mean that okay, cool, I gotta let you say and call me a nigger. Okay, I gotta let you say and act like you are eligible for lineage status-based reparations under foundational Black American Negro freedmen, right? I have to pretend that we grew up with the same culture. I have to pretend that you created hip hop when you could barely speak English when you came over here. How could you create an American genre when you just learned English? That's not to denigrate you in any type of way, but like, hip hop is an American art form created by foundational Black Americans. Show me the hip hop in some other foreign language then. And if you do it in that language, no one will listen to it, which is why you did it in English.
Is why this cowardice is okay. We don't have enough numbers, etc. And yet, whenever they talk to foundational Black Americans, they have no problem talking to us any old kind of way. Suddenly, they're not scared of inferior numbers. And let someone offend the white society that they wish they could be a part of. Let them do something against the religion or sexual orientation or immigrants or what have you. And suddenly, these same people who tell us why they can't.
Okay, thanks. December finally clarified. Propaganda creating a visual to fit the narrative of the storyline. I agree. Like I said, things were just too perfectly placed. They had this crispy Quran in the car. They have this dude shouting out some random outburst. And not only that, I forgot to say that he also had an Iranian flag. You've got to be kidding me. So not only he's going, where the hell does he get this property of Allah shirt? I've seen people who say Allahu Akbar, right? I've seen people yelling that. I've never seen anyone of the Arab or Muslim faith wear this hoodie. And I'm not saying that no one owns this, but can anyone find any other Muslim even wearing this hoodie? Where the hell did he get this hoodie from? Muslims are us? So not only does he have the property of Allah hoodie, you take off the hoodie, he's draped in an Iranian flag with a Quran and all sorts of things that this reads sleeper agent, false flag to me, allegedly, theoretically, hypothetically. So let's just get back into it.
Lift a finger or won't say a peep for blackness. Suddenly they're hanging out of a window. Problem talking to us any old kind of way. Suddenly they're not scared of inferior numbers. And let someone offend the white society that they wish they could be a part of. Let them do something against the religion or sexual orientation or immigrants or what have you. And suddenly these same people who tell us why they can't lift a finger or won't say a peep for blackness, suddenly they're hanging out of a window and committing mass shootings. And for what? You know, if you want me to have any sort of consideration for the Iranians have had decades to show consideration for us. I'm not talking about with words. I am not going to be putting myself out for anybody else who decides that all they can do is give us empty lip service once every blue moon or whenever the U.S. needs to be given a black eye or shown what for. No, if these people don't make it a serious...
Yeah, so all the people that give us lip service, y'all know my acronym, CESL, S-E-S-L. Same energy, same logic. Keep the same energy, apply the same logic. Many of these so-called allies, all they've been is just rhetorical, symbolic allies. So if that's what y'all want from us, we'll be that. I'll say, attaboy, you go get them. Now hold your own nuts. I ain't finna fight your battles, but you go, girl. I'll give you a pat on the back. That's a symbolic, inspirational gesture. But in terms of boots on the ground, nah, you can forget about it, right? And when we have our issues, we won't even ask y'all because we know that y'all ain't gonna be there for us. We won't be there for y'all. Y'all won't be there for us. Even deal, right?
Point to make serious inroads with us, well then, times like this, they're on their own. And while we're on the subject of felonious foreign flags, that brings me to another incident, this one out of Ron DeSantis' Florida.
This alleged crime happened in June, but it wasn't until this week a grand jury said these minors need to be charged as adults. This is why we are showing you their faces. Now, the details in this alleged crime are very disturbing. We want to warn you. 2 middle school age boys and a 15-year-old boy are facing serious charges as adults in connection to a rape case involving a 12-year-old girl.
So you're 12 years old? You're 13 years old?
Police say the co-defendants, Nelson Nunez, Josiah Jones, and Xavier Tyson, all played a part in the crime that took place in an Overtown community garden in June.
You were indicted by a grand jury and transferred to juvenile.
And Xavier Tyson,
So I'm going to leave that right here. And see, before, when we grew up, it was just we all black, we all one big global Negro. Now cats is looking like, hold on, Josiah. Even if it was Josiah, we wouldn't have spelt it like that. Nunez. And the last names don't always give it away, you know, due to a lot of interracial dating, mating, some people having ancestral ties to slave owners and et cetera, right? But then you start looking at the phenotypes, the hairlines, you like, is bro really FBA? Then you start digging and you say, oh, he's not. And before, people will say that this is divisive, but no, it's not divisive. It's distinctive. We're in the information age. Why shouldn't we have as much accurate information as possible? And another thing too, see, what happens is many people like to treat us as a cultural dumping ground. So when they do all of their trash, they dump it on, that's the black African American culture. No, these dudes are Caribbean. This would be Caribbean culture, or those dudes are African from the motherland. That's African culture. But if they can just use the nebulous term of African American, or even just saying I'm black, right? Yeah, but what type of black, right? It's almost like, hey, this is coffee. Yeah, but what type of coffee, right? They got Colombian coffee, Turkish coffee. It's all coffee. No, not really, right? Russian coffee ain't the same as Turkish coffee or Chinese coffee or anything. We want to and we need to know the distinctions, right? There's nothing wrong with that, right? Because if you think of something wrong with that, call a Mexican person and tell them they're no different than an El Salvadorian person. Tell a El Salvadorian they're no different than a Puerto Rican. Tell a Puerto Rican they're no different than a Cuban. Tell a Cuban they're no different than a Brazilian, and see what type of heated responses you get. But with us, we're supposed to say Jamaicans, Senegalese people, Ghanaian people, Guyanese people, Nigerian people, Liberian people, y'all all the same. Huh? The shit don't even make sense. An alligator is not a crocodile. They look similar, but they're not the same.
all played a part in the crime that took place in an Overtown community garden in June.
You were indicted by a grand jury and transferred to from juvenile court to adult court. That's why you are here.
Police reports say the victim was leaving her friend's house when 13-year-old Nelson Nunez grabbed her, forced her on a couch inside the Greenhaven Community Garden, and raped her, while 12-year-old Josiah Jones and Xavier Tyson, who was 14 at the time, restrained her. Police say Jones put rocks in her mouth to stop her from screaming. The victim says it went on for about 30 minutes, and the boys stopped when they heard her father calling her name. Both the 12 and 13-year-old are at the West Detention Center, both of them being held there without bond.
Oh, how very different the white media's coverage is this time around. The children who have been charged are between the ages of 12 and 15. They're not adults. The white media never shows the faces of white children who are charged as adults. And yet in this case, they're giving themselves an excuse to make an exception. Well, they were charged as adults, so that makes it okay. Yeah, they pick and choose when they want to do it. Now, I just told you about a case on Friday of a creep who was 18 years old, and yet he raped a 13-year-old girl, basically the same age as this alleged victim in this case. And yet this 18-year-old man has gotten virtually no white media coverage. And he's not being charged with rape. He's simply being charged with travel with intent to engage in illicit sexual conduct. Not rape, not sexual assault, just intent to engage in behavior. This for a man who raped a child and strangled her nearly to death. And it seemed to be part of his plan that both of them were going to die afterwards. But from the way he set it up, she was going to die whether she wanted to or not. And of course, we have to ask, who are these defendants? Well, this took place in Miami, so I'm already starting to think that it's not an FBA enclave. And then you look at the names: Nelson Nunez, Josiah Jones. I've seen black males named Josiah, but never Josiah. So at first blush, at least, it looks like we have a number of non-FBA identicators going on here. Now, I mention this because whenever you got these tethers or whomever who try to tell us that foundational black Americans don't know how to raise our children, from now on, we're going to be keeping a running tally of whose kids are getting into what trouble. And what we've already been uncovering is that a lot of these criminals who had previously been put under the blanket definition of black are in fact immigrants. Foundational black Americans will not be carrying the weight of all these immigrants who commit these crimes the same way that we're not going to be putting on the cape for other groups either. Everyone's going to need to learn to stand up for themselves on their own, or they will fall where they cower. And I know this last part is not exactly a natural segue, but we talked about the recent predictable problems the Tethers had after TetherCon in New Orleans last year. And speaking of New Orleans, they had Mardi Gras last month, an FBA tradition. Now, a lot of foreign flags want to try to attribute Caribbean and Latin culture to Mardi Gras as if it has nothing to do with FBAs whatsoever. They say that it's basically an Americanized version of Carnival in places like Brazil. I'm afraid that doesn't track. The differences between what FBAs do and what they do in places like Brazil are as stark as night and day. For example, in New Orleans, they do dress up in elaborate feathery costumes, kind of like they do in Latin America, but you notice a huge difference. They're covered from head to toe. You see, this is how foundational black Americans dress when they do this. Now compare that, on the other hand, to how the women in Brazil dress for Carnival. Pay attention to how the foundational black Americans dress during Mardi Gras. You will not see an FBA black woman dress like this. And you damn sure won't see any FBA men at Mardi Gras dressed like this. I'm just saying. I thought the entire point of the feather costumes was to take on the attributes of a bird. You're supposed to be covered from head to toe. Whoever saw a bird that only had feathers on its shoulders? Now, again, I'm not trying to be messy, but I got to tell it like it is, and this is something I noticed.
And like he said, he's not trying to be messy. He just has to tell it like it is. This is part of this culture. I'm not here to denigrate it. I'm here to point out the distinction and the divinity of this culture, right? I won't claim and say that this is my culture, but in this cultural spectacle, there's a lot of gyrations, there's a lot of twerking, there's a lot of booty cheeks out, there's a lot of boobs and cleavage out. This is culture, right? And many people from this same group will come over here and say, you guys have a culture of degeneracy because there's a rap video with women twerking. There's women twerking in jeans, and that's degenerate. But then in these spectacles, there's a bunch of kids scantily dressed doing a lot more than just twerking, right? But that's upheld as some sort of rich culture. But twerking in a different setting under a different circumstance, that somehow makes it different and debaucherous. Okay, doesn't even make sense.
To take on the attributes of a bird, you're supposed to be covered from.
And my bad, let me get to the chat because I know I want to highlight. Where was it at? What's a FBA? A FBA is a foundational black American, formerly known as African American. Also, we are indigenous Americans. So if you look at the formerly emancipated, they were called freedmen. So a foundational black American is essentially a Negro freedman who has a lineage that goes to the origins of this country. Their ancestry could at the very least be traced to the census in the 1800s, but many people have lineage prior to that. So basically a foundational black American is someone that doesn't have an immigrant background, and their lineage traces back to the killing fields of U.S. chattel slavery, right? And this is why There were other terms people use. There's one called Sulan. The more political term is American freedman, but it means the same thing as a euphemism. So if you hear foundational Black American, American freedman, Sulan, it's the same thing. But we needed ethnic specificity because just calling yourself African American is an erasure term and it's so nebulous and broad that there is loopholes for people to leech and tether onto that specific identity, i.e. this dude right here, he's Senegalese American, he immigrated here and then suddenly he's African American, and we have to pretend as if we have the same historical lineage, history, and culture just based on melanin and some myth of Africa being your motherland. But yeah, and this is what I want to highlight. December says, thank goodness for delineation. I would say, and I've been saying this, FBAs have been late to the delineation process. What I don't like and what is extremely disgusting is many of these groups have come over here and they've always delineated. But it was us who we were saying, nah, y'all just like us. Y'all Black. Don't y'all realize y'all in America? This is the one drop rule. And all of these other people, most of these other people, I won't say all, but most of these other people used to tell us, why y'all keep calling yourselves Black? It's not a country. Y'all dumb. Y'all don't have a culture, etc. Y'all lazy, etc. And then we kept saying, y'all are Black. And they said, no, I'm not Black. I'm Haitian. I'm Nigerian. I'm not Black. I'm Cuban. I'm not Black. I'm Dominican. And some of us would say, no, you just don't get it. You are Black. Now, this generation is saying, you know what? Actually, you're not Black and it's cool, bruh. Stop trying to act like us because you're not Black. Then people try to circle back and say, hey, big head, I am Black, just like you. No, you're not. You're Cuban. You're Nigerian. You're this, you're that. You have a specific nationality and ethnic identifier to go by. Why won't you say that? Be proud of it. You said that your culture is so rich. And then when I ask you about your culture, you want to tether on to mine? That doesn't even make any sense. Tell me what Nigerian culture is. Don't tell me what foundational Black American culture is, because when you think of a Black person in general, you think of a foundational Black American. If I say basketball, you're going to think of LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Michael Jordan, foundational Black Americans. If I say rap, you're going to think of Tupac, other foundational Black Americans, even though there are different people from other ethnicities. What I'm saying is the pillars, the pioneers are us, and other people come because we're so inclusive. We allow other people to come in. Oh, you like hip hop? Hey, come over here. You can participate. Then when other people participate, and then after some time they contribute, now some try to hijack that contribution and say that it's a creation. And if we don't stand up for ourselves, who will? Not only do we have to delineate, we have to demand that people stop trying to rewrite our history and that people acknowledge the truth. You know what I mean? It's not too much to ask. And Dark Gable says, we not the same people. And that's what some people say, because you have the same level of melanin, and they push the out of Africa theory and say, you came from Africa, even if your family been here for 500 years or 1,000 years, your origins are still in Africa, and that's the motherland. Like, huh? Okay, let's just say that the so-called Native Americans, right? There's speculation that they immigrated from some parts of Siberia. Okay, fine. They came here allegedly as the indigenous. How many years did it take for them to stop being Asian? There's no race called indigenous. So what race are they, right? Some of them were Asiatic, but there's Asiatic Black people like Rui Hachimura. And I'm actually bring up a picture because someone like Rui Hachimura, who is a Black Japanese person, but he's full Japanese. He could come over here. He can check that he's Asian, but he could also check that he's African American. How? That's what race and ethnicity is, a social construct that's fluid based on how society constructs it and what society adheres to. Let's get back into it.
Head to toe. Whoever saw a bird that owns example. In New Orleans, they do dress up in elaborate feathery costumes, kind of like they do in Latin America, but you notice a huge difference. They're covered from head to toe. You see, this is how foundational Black Americans dress when they do this. Now compare that, on the other hand, to how the women in Brazil dress for Carnival. Pay attention to how the foundational Black Americans dress during Mardi Gras.
And the chat is chatting, so if I can't keep up with everyone, and if I get to your comment late, it's just because I'm kind of multitasking here. But this person asks Barney, and salute to Barney. I appreciate you. You could be anywhere in the world. You chose to be here with me, at least momentarily. And for that, I thank you. So when you say, would this apply to different white cultures? Yes, of course it does. And other people, this isn't a new concept. So for instance, when Italians came over, they were called Guineas, which were saying that they're African, which were saying that they're Negro, which were saying they're Black, which were saying that y'all are some niggas, right? Same thing that they did with Irish people, right? Now, since race is a social construct, they were adopted and assimilated into whiteness. They said, no, y'all ain't white. Same thing with Romans. They didn't consider Romans and Greek people white. And then they said, you know what? They're white now. Palestinians, when Palestinians come over right now, they're considered white. Jillian Michaels is an Arab Syrian woman. She's considered white. Anna Kasparian, Armenian. She's considered white. Jake Tapper, Dana Bash, Bernie Sanders, all Jewish people. They're considered white. So when we're talking about delineation, anyone that should be doing it, it should be white people, which is why you hear people saying that they're heritage Americans. That's a form of delineation. What they're trying to say is that, hey, my lineage is distinct from yours. Now, they take it a little bit further. You know, some of them are morons and maniacs, so they take it a bit further where they want to try to oppress and subjugate people. What we're saying is that everyone should embrace and hold their own culture, because people love to fly a flag. But then when, you know, there's a threat of them being deported back to that country, you know, suddenly all hell's break loose. I thought you loved the country so much and the culture was so rich. It's just you don't want to go back there. You know what I mean? So yes, people should delineate. I have no flag to fly. I can't fly a Nigerian flag or a Ghanaian or a Jamaican flag, right? The only flag I can fly is the American flag, which a foundational Black American, Grace Swisher, had a hand in helping sew. There is a Black American heritage flag, and there is an FBA flag. All of the flags that I fly are rooted and connected to my homeland, which is America. And I actually do encourage whites to delineate. Delineate doesn't mean that you demonize a group and say, na 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 boo boo, I'm from this group. What it's doing is saying, oh, you're from that group? Here, tell me more about your culture. Oh, that's a beautiful thing. Here, maybe you can bring some of your cultural cachet, your cultural currency, knowledge, and acumen, and bring that over to my culture so we can infuse that and help make each other's culture richer, more cohesive, right? But we're not going to connect and collaborate by pretending, right? Pretending that we're the same when we know that there's glaring differences, right? The differences doesn't mean that one is better or the other. It just means that there's a distinction between the two. So yes, and one of the main things that white people need to do is you guys need to stop going back and forth and trying to say that Jewish people are not white. Because they are. When people see Bernie Sanders, the first thing they see is a white dude. To try to say he's Jewish, yeah, he's an old white Jewish dude. There's no race called Jewish. So it's a bunch of MAGA maniacs who love to say it's the Jews. running a secret cabal, right? No, those are white people running a cabal, right? Just like there's white Muslims, right? There's black Jews. So when people are talking about, okay, fine, if it is the Jews, what race are those people? Because we want accuracy. We want 100% accuracy. And if those people are just other white people, then you need to hold your community accountable. If they're not white people, where's the Jewish box to check? Don't take my word for it. Anyone could look it up. I've pulled it up several times and I will do it again if anyone wants to challenge me. 92% of American Jews identify as racially white. There's no gun to their head forcing them to check the white box. They voluntarily say that, hey, I am white. Many of them changed their last name, like Dana Bash. That's not our last name. Stan Lee, Marvel legend, right? His last name is really not Lee. So, John Stewart, his last name really is not Stewart, right? But how could they not be white if all they had to do was change their last name? And then they can blend in with the whites, but they're not white. Okay, fine. They're not white. Then what are they? They're Jewish. Okay, but that's not a race. So what race are they? And then you just keep spinning back and forth. So one thing that you guys can do, you can get a clear definition of who's white and who's not. Because this little goofy game where you try to say Jews are not white, but 92% of them are legally, racially, and socially classified as white, gets a bit nauseating. But it looks like we've been joined by the hardest working mod in YouTube, Vibrant Lowell, and also Dark Gable, the Amerindian, in the building.
You will not see an FBA black woman dressed like this, Erica, but you notice a huge difference. They're covered from head to toe. You see, this is how foundational black Americans dress when they do this. Now compare that, on the other hand, to how the women in Brazil dress for Carnival. Pay attention to how the foundational black Americans dress during Mardi Gras. You will not see an FBA.
Hold on, what? Roger, hey, you might get your black card back with this one. American Pie is an American classic, and FBA is as an American apple pie. There would be no USA without FBA. But Shannon Elizabeth is Arab? I did not know that. Okay. American Pie had some baddies in there too. That movie is goated. Let's get back into it. You kind of threw me off with that, Roger.
Black woman dressed like this. And you damn sure won't see any FBA men at Mardi Gras dressed like this. I'm just saying. I thought the entire point of the feather costumes was to take on the attributes of a bird. You're supposed to be covered from head to toe. Whoever saw a bird that only had feathers on its shoulders? Now, again, I'm not trying to be messy, but I got to tell it like it is. And this is something I noticed a long time ago, and I'm sure a lot of you noticed it too. The pornification of hip hop was not something that organically came from foundational black.
And this kind of ruffles a lot of people's feather. And shout out to Cosmic Blackie. I ain't gonna lie, that's one hell of a name, Cosmic Blackie. It does have a little minstrel vibe, but it does also have a comedic vibe too. So salute to Cosmic Blackie. That's a good one, bruh. But it says people need to realize that Black Americans and Africans actually don't look alike, and they could at least attempt to look at facial features. Now, there are some that look alike, but at large, many of us don't, which is why people get mad when we can say, bro is African, and then he was like, how could you tell, nigga? It's like, damn, bro, why you getting defensive? I just saw your hairline. I knew that you won FBA. We still could be brothers, but it's like, why are you pretending that you FBA? I saw the hairline, bro. We knew, right? They have different phenotypical differences, like like just like a Mexican girl, she don't always have the same phenotype as a Venezuelan, you know what I mean? But because people want to do this, we're all one big global Negro, just one African from the Zulu tribe. They try to think that we all just look alike, but that's not the case. Many of us don't look alike, but we have a similar skin pigment. Okay, that just means our skin is the same color. We don't really look the same like that. So now people get mad, and I know people hate Tariq, but he always does this hairline check. Now the hairline check is not, it's a not 100% fail proof, right? But it is pretty darn close, because even FBAs that don't that got a janky hairline, many of them, they'll go to the barber and get those transplants, or they'll just cut it all off, and rock the baldy, you know what I mean? But yeah, if somebody got like a crooked wig or a janky hairline, that's usually a red flag to know that that person might not be FBA. Now, it doesn't mean that you need to get bullied or disparaged. We're just saying we kind of know. And I think sometimes people take a little bit too much pride into how they look. Not to say that you shouldn't look good, but sometimes people try to look good at Walmart, and, you try to look good at very frivolous places. But, don't worry about, you need to be trying to dress for where you're trying to go, which I get that, but not at Walmart, right? You need to have your birthday suit at Walmart. So I get it. We do pride ourselves on looking good because we come from the bottom. We come from the mud. And many of us know that, hey, look, I probably will never be a millionaire, probably won't own a property. So the least that I can do is look good and smell good. So many other cultures, they don't always pride themselves on looking fresh and all this stuff, which can be a good and a bad thing, right? I know plenty of people that have a high IQ. They don't have no sauce or no swag, but, they have a lot of money in the bank. They're driving an old bucket. Then you got some FBAs or some other people. They may have the flyest car, but don't own no property. You know what I mean? And some people think, hey, well, I probably can't afford a property, but at least I can afford a dope whiff and, smash some of these bunnies, right? So, it's a lot of things that go into it, bruh. But like I said, different cultures, different perspectives, different upbringings is going to bring different outcomes. And that's fine. We don't have to pretend that we're all the same, for the sake of some mythical Pan-African scam, African clan, African unity. Let's get back into it. And this video is only like 4 more minutes left, so I'm going to let most of it rock out.
Americans who created rap music. This was the result. I tell it like it is, and this is something I noticed a long time ago, and I'm sure a lot of you noticed it too. The pornification of hip hop was not something that organically came from foundational Black Americans who created rap music. This was the result of foreign influence. People like the Caribbean tether Luther Campbell and others. In places like the Caribbean and Latin America, having women running around naked is the norm. Sexualizing women is a part of the culture. Obviously, I'm not saying that that's the only thing that these cultures were doing, but what I'm pointing out is we were not doing this. Because when you encourage open nudity and debauchery in the streets, you turn your society into an open-air brothel. When you glorify women being the worst version of themselves, the children will follow, and society deteriorates. You make your daughter...
So it looks like we've been joined by Tara Sanchez. So hola, amiga. She says, so first, I'm American, but I'm Mexican, Puerto Rican, Irish, but all I know is Black America growing up in Long Beach, California. And shout out to Sincere, because she likes to say peace in the LBC. I love everyone, and we have all ethnicities here, and I love it. Hey, salute to you, Tara. And I love it too. I'm a humanitarian, right? It is better to know about other cultures, and I know people try to attack diversity, but it's a beautiful thing. Think of diversity like a buffet. Do you want to go to the restaurant buffet and then they just have one thing, steak, 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 and more steak? Or how about you go to that buffet and it has steak and it has pasta and it has tacos and pizza and fried chicken and all sorts of other things, right? The diversity and options of that buffet will make it a much more memorable, mesmerizing, and satisfying experience. And that's the same thing when it comes to team building, organizing, having these different cultures and perspectives around you will only allow your organization, your institution, and your mission to thrive and flourish so long that these people are on the same page as you, right? You can't just get a bunch of people and say, hey, they're non-black, this is diverse, here, let's sing hands and roast marshmallows, right? People need to be on code. People need to be of like mind, right? And people need to be working towards the ethnic and cultural preservation of their specific group, but also the country at large, right? I'm an American. So as much as there is a history of some white people doing a bunch of heinous, barbaric, and egregious things to black people, there's also history of some white people standing up and in the face of oppression from their community saying, nah, I stand with black people. You know what I mean? All of the history has to be told, right? Even if it was a few of them, those few should be acknowledged rather than say, oh, it was only a few, so let's not talk about the few, right? If we don't talk about the few, how could we expect there to be many? So yeah, as much as I am B1. I stand for my community. I am black first, but I'm also being black first means that I'm American first. So this is my motherland. This is my homeland. So I'm not an isolationist. I do believe in uplifting and helping enrich other nations, but charity starts at home.
Into whores, and as the old saying goes, you can't make a whore into a housewife. And you certainly can't make a whore into a responsible mother either. Just because people have a parade in one country where some of them wear feathers or some sort of other elaborate dress, that doesn't mean they're doing the same thing that folks in another country do. And how you do something matters just as much as what you're doing. For the Pan-Africanists out there getting heartburn about what I'm saying, give it a rest. It takes two to tango, and you're out here square dancing solo. Pan-Africanism wasn't necessarily stillborn, but it damn sure was on life support for many years. And here some folks are still trying to breathe life back into it. Tell me something. At what point does this stop being CPR and it becomes necrophilia? That's not a joke. It's a serious question, because that's what's happening here. Pan-Africanism needed to be a two-way street, and all it ever...
And shout out to Margaret. Greetings, family. B1, salute to you.
was a one-way road. We were the ones who wanted it. All those other African countries over there, and not a single one, not even one, got on board with us. And neither did their people. Sure.
So Cosmic Blackie is coming in hot. He says melanin doesn't. And Cosmic Blackie, I believe that you're a dude, so I don't want to get your pronouns mixed up. But he says melanin doesn't make you related to somebody. So my family has absolutely zero Sudanese lineage. For example, I mean 00, just like you. So there's a known, renowned tether lord. His name is Myron Gaines, but his real name is Amarufu Dil. That's what his name is. He's a Sudanese tether. Now, which name sounds like it could be black? Myron Gaines or Amaru Fudil, right? He's over here cosplaying and tethering onto a culture that he's denigrating at the same time, saying nigga, 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 nigga. No, in your country, they call you sand niggas. An emphasis on the sand to delineate and let you know, no, you're not a nigga, you're a sand nigga, a camel riding nigga, right? They distinguish over there, right? His country is in the middle of a genocide. There's a genocide going on in Sudan. The humanitarian crisis is reported to be worse than what's going on in Gaza. Over 1 million people are at threat to starve to death. It's a severe famine over there. And you got this bitch ass tether, Myron Gaines, aka Amaru Fudil, a fucking Sudanese buck-broken bozo pretending to be FBA. That's all he talks about every day. Sometimes he'll claim and do some Jewish conspiracy theory, and the other times is how much he hates niggas while saying nigga, cosplaying, pretending and acting like a nigga. Niggas will say, y'all niggas degenerate, and then they listen to degenerate music, do degenerate things, It's like, okay, I thought you had an issue with degeneracy. Why aren't you in church right now reading the Bible, right? Why aren't you in a mosque right now? Instead, he's online with a bunch of OnlyFans bimbos talking about black people. I mean, is that really what it says in the Quran? Where in the Quran does it say organize a panel and argue with a bunch of OnlyFans thoughts? Where in the Quran does it say go around calling black people niggers and say that, you wish more Jews got cooked like cookies? Show me where in text that it says that, is a requirement to being a Muslim. And anybody, if y'all follow that tether Amarufu deal, I'm just going to give you fair warning. You won't like this channel. So you've been warned.
Or you have a small minority who did, but Africa is not a few open-minded people with their heads on straight. It's a continent full of people. This was a fundamental imbalance, and the more people who came here from abroad who continue to spit in our faces and to work against us and to promote being an immigrant over being black and who wanted to practice the same stupid tribalism that made Africa into a basket case, these people never stopped that mess.
And just like he said, the people that come here and they promote being an immigrant over being black, see, we lead with blackness. And then they say, well, y'all can't expect us to lead with blackness. Black is just a color. And then they go and they try to get benefits off of being black. They go and try to get a scholarship that was designated for underserved, marginalized black communities. But I thought you said black was just a color. So why are you trying to reap any benefits that are attached to the name blackness at all? And that's what people just see. They see blackness as an extraction hub. Here, let me take the benefits of blackness, and dump my cultural garbage on blackness, but still maintain my ethnic specificity and say, hey, I'm not black. I'm Nigerian. I'm not black. I'm something other than black. And who do you think, see, we fought to make black, they try to say, why y'all call yourselves black? It means dead. It means this. Words have various meanings. There's no word that just has one. Well, most words don't have one singular meaning. It can mean multiple things at the same time. So if you saying black means all of these negative connotations to you, that's not what it means to me and my family. I'm proud of being black, and that's fine if you have a low cultural self-esteem and you hate being black. Just stop talking about black people. If you're no longer with the lineage, on the team, with the race, with the ethnicity, with the nationality, that's fine. Just stay out of our business, right? Me, I don't go around saying I'm a minority. Asians are minorities, so let me go get in some Filipino or Chinese business because we all minorities. No, let the Filipinos handle their biz. Let the Chinese handle their biz. As long as they're not undermining my community, do what you do, and hopefully you succeed at it, right? So if y'all having issues with FBA delineating and building and organizing and enfranchising ourselves, hey, go get some business. Ain't that what your mama used to tell you, man? Go get some business, right? You're Nigerian or Cuban or whatever. Go stand on business for your community. Stop trying to immerse yourself in my community that you hate. That's why you just extract things from it, but you truly don't want to be of or a part of it because you can't be. So what you do is you tether onto it when it's convenient to you and take a little bit of scraps, like it's a buffet, a cultural buffet. I'll have a little bit of this, a little bit of that, right? You take it back to your homeland, take it back to your community and try to revitalize it and repurpose it as something different. But you know where you got it from, right? And like my boy, Bro Sanchez says, if we made Dr. Pepper, y'all want to come and take the recipe and then go to your house and make Dr. Thunder and say, this just like Dr. Pepper. No, it's not. It's Dr. Thunder. And Dr. Thunder was cool. Don't get me wrong. But Dr. Thunder ain't Dr. Pepper. Fruity-O's and Fruit Rings ain't Fruit Loops. You know what I mean? Let's get back into it. Those apple rings ain't Apple Jacks, but they don't taste like apples. Yeah, because they ain't Apple Jacks. They Apple O's. Ain't the same.
That's what this latest guy in Austin proved to us. 100 years of that. When does it stop? When do we say enough? That's when. There's an old saying, if something can't go on forever, it won't. Without us, there is no soul. That's not a brag, it's a fact. That's why the word is so important to us. We are the soul. We are the cultural vibrancy. And without a soul, the body dies. And what do you call a body without a soul? You call it a zombie. Without us, that's what Essence Fest turned into. You can monetize what we do, but you can't do what we do. You can't create it. And there is no substitute for it. Now, people can get upset about what it is that I'm saying, but unless they're out here calling this mess out and calling it what it is, then they have no leg to stand on. This is not about trying to make sure that everybody's perfectly pleased with us. In order for that to happen, we would have to also make sure that the tethers, bootlicks, foreign flags, and other assorted enemies within like us. And if they do, that means we're doing it wrong. Because you will never see a foundational Black American calling himself doing some sort of stunt because he's trying to impress people in a different country that he's never set foot in, people who have no respect for him in the first place. And anyone who doesn't understand that has never understood us. Good day and be one. I'd like to take a moment to mention some of our contributors. Gwendolyn Langston.
Okay, so the professor has spoken. So let me go ahead and just pull this other video up right now. All the things that I've been playing, the commentary has been leading up why it's a must for us to delineate. And as I've said repeatedly, we are late to the delineation process, right? Others have been doing it. They always been on this type time. We're well late, and this is upsetting the apple cart. This is the only reason why. So I'm going to be reacting to a video from the brother Phil Scott. You can watch this video uninterrupted at the Philip Scott podcast. It's titled Hostile African Immigrant Goes In on Black America, says we run nothing but our mouths, right? Okay, like I said, we're supposed to be caping for this. We're supposed to be crashing out against ICE for this. Okay.
Benefiting off of the blood, sweat, and tears of Black America. Then he comes over here and just talks the most crap while he's not even in his homeland. Let's go ahead and check this out.
If you hate Black Americans so much, why did you come to America? Okay, first of all, miss me without Black Americans.
Okay, so y'all heard the question. If you hate Black Americans so much, why come to America? Now, before I proceed, was that question hostile? You can say the question may have been loaded, may have been condescending. Who knows? We don't know what the tone was. It seems like a fair question, right? Because if someone is complaining about a group or they don't like a group, I don't know why you would want to move near that group, be anywhere around that group. So it was a very simple question asked. If you hate Black Americans so much, why come to America? Let's see what the response is from an African from the motherland. Let's see if he gives a brotherly response.
Don't run in America. You don't own or control anything in America. Don't run in America. Why did you come to America? Okay, first of all, miss me without Black Americans don't run in America. You don't own or control anything in America besides your mouth. That is the only thing you run. Okay, that is the only thing you run in America, your mouth. You think Africans came here because of you? We came here to hustle, bro. The same reason we go to France, Britain, Germany. We go to hustle. We don't care about you. See, we learn your history.
So, bruh, that's not a flex. You saying that, yeah, we didn't come here to America because we care about you. We came to hustle. So that's fine. So when we say hold your own nuts, right? It should be okay because you only came here to hustle. You didn't come here to unite with us. When we say boycott these businesses, not just African businesses, boycott any non-FBA business, right? And it don't even have to be hostile. Let your community support you. You're an Asian business. Hey, y'all say y'all are the model minorities. Y'all can stick together and support each other. Y'all say Africans, y'all have a superior culture. Fine. FBAs withdraw y'all money and let the Africans, this rich, powerful culture, support each other, right? You over here coming to hustle. Okay, you're hustling to get money. Who is going to fund your businesses? It surely ain't going to be Asians. A bunch of Asians ain't going to be saying, here, let's help this African uplift and enrich himself. So who is really funding these businesses that you're creating? Not even all of y'all are creating them. Most of y'all are driving Uber and stuff like that. Nothing wrong with driving Uber. Get your hustle. That's what he said they came here to do, to hustle. Why can't you hustle in your homeland? That's a fair question to ask. And nobody would think that it's xenophobic or anti-black because I'm in Oakland, right? If I go to San Francisco, or let's just take it out of Cali, if I go to Seattle and get it popping, right? And say, I just came here to hustle, you know what I mean? And people be like, hey, did you flip any weight in Oakland? Did you hustle there? And if I say no, then people are going to ask, what happened? Why you ain't get it popping there? Oakland? Come on, man. That's the land of the game. You feel me? How you couldn't get it popping in Oakland? You said you're from the motherland, right? All of the resources are there, which is why China is over there. Russia is over there. The Western colonial powers are over there. They're in your motherland where all of the riches and the wealth are. But instead, you're fleeing your motherland to go hustle in a place that has less resources than a place that has no resources. That's why they're extracting your resources. You came here to hustle, but you won't hustle in your homeland. You think that you have a superior culture, knowledge, and acumen. It just doesn't apply when you're in your homeland. How does that shit work? Imagine you were a basketball player, right? You sucked on your home court, but then you went to the visitor's home court and you were suddenly decent. Bruh, how are you not good on your home court? How are you not hustling in your homeland? How are you not building in your homeland? Instead, you're coming here taking jobs that we've already done. It's not like they're coming over here innovating. Who is coming over here creating all of these vast, elaborate inventions? Many people from my ancestors were creating inventions under duress, right? They were chattel property and were creating inventions that changed the globe, right? You're coming over here to hustle, but all you coming over here is to collect some shillings. They're not building anything, but let's get into it. But he's saying we ain't building, we just running. Y'all ain't running nothing but your mouth while he's running his mouth. Okay.
That is the only thing you run. Okay, that is the only thing you run in America, your mouth. You think Africans came here because of you? We came here to hustle, bro. The same reason we go to France, Britain, Germany. We go to hustle. We don't care about you. See, we learn your history out of courtesy. Out of courtesy. You guys still walk around thinking Africa is a country full of mud huts and mud cookies. You have no courtesy, no respect to learn other people's history. And you think we can.
And this is rich. He said we have no respect. Many of the foremost scholars on African history are foundational Black American. Dr. John Henry Clark, even Professor James Smalls, Dr. Francis Cress Wilson. There's a lot more. Gerald Horne, right? You can go on. And we are the ones who were uplifting the illusion of Pan-Africanism. They don't even practice Pan-Africanism in Africa. We're on an entirely different continent, in a different country. And we were standing on business harder for Pan-Africanism than Africans in Africa. Africans can't even unite with the North African Arabs who are smacking the crap out of them. Africans won't even stand up to the North African Arabs who are attempting and in many people's eyes have stolen valor in terms of Egypt. You know what I mean? They just let them lie about it. And it doesn't even, you don't even have to be a rocket science. All you have to do is type in, and don't take my word for it, type in, when were the pyramids constructed, right? And there's actually more pyramids on this continent, but that's a whole different story in a different stream, right? When were the pyramids in Egypt constructed? And then after that, type in, when was the Arab invasion? And you'll see that the Arab invasion came at a significant period after the pyramids had already been constructed. Before Egypt was called Egypt, it was called Kemet. Kemet translates to the land of the blacks. That's not my translation. I didn't name it Kemet. Look that up. So if the Arabs, who, when they say Arab, what they're trying to say is they're Middle Eastern. There's no race called Middle Eastern and there's no race called Arab. Both of these are made up terms, just like sub-Saharan, right? All they did was make up sub-Saharan and Middle Eastern to try to say, hey, yeah, they're African, but these Africans are a little bit different. And they try to frame the Middle Easterns as darker Caucasians, which is why when Lebanese people come over here, white. Turkish people, white. Palestinians, white. Now, in 2030, they'll have a U.S. Census classification called MENA, Middle Eastern, North African, but many of them, they have an option of checking an Asian box, Middle Eastern, North African, or they can still check the white box. It's ultimately up to them how they identify. But it's just crazy though, because these people come over here and they just get punked out in their homelands and then we're supposed to unify? No. If we're organizing and fighting for liberation, how are we going to unify with some buck-broken people where they don't even stand up and put up a fight? They pull down their pants and voluntarily spread cheeks and say, no, you don't even need no lube. Don't use no lube. You can just buck break me as violently and as rough as you want. That's how pathetic many of these people are. And that's the most important aspect of buck breaking. Not so much the physical, the psychological aspect, because once you're broken and run down, then you really don't have to do much physical.
Country full of mud huts and mud cookies. You have no...
Oh, and I want to say, it's mainly the MAGA maniacs and the W supremacists that talk about your country with mud huts, and you guys can't even defend it. I can make an argument for the effectiveness and how there were some pretty luxurious mud huts. There's some mud huts that some parts of Asia, China, and other regions where they still live in mud huts today for various reasons. And many of those mud huts are stronger and even more luxurious structures than some people are living on the West. These are the arguments that the people from the continent of Africa should be making. Instead, they get mad at FBAs, who is really pushing that narrative of y'all eating dirt cookies, right? And some of y'all actually are eating dirt cookies. So if someone clowns on you for eating dirt cookies, are you mad at the person for clowning on you, or are you mad at your government and society that this is what you have to do, that you guys couldn't use your ingenuity and innovation to figure out, some other food source? Many of these people do grow food, but they grow food to sell it to another country, and then they have to buy food from that country at an exorbitant rate, right? This is you can blame the U.S. meddling, the colonial powers, but you also have to blame the corruption at home. All of this exploitation is done with the complicity of these puppet leaders who are selling their people out. Instead of rising up, many people flee. You're not going to beat the bully by fleeing. You beat the bully by fighting the bully. And yeah, you may not win the first time, but you keep fighting. And then eventually, you might knock the bully out, or you find a way to make the bully respect you, right? Vietnam isn't a bigger bully than the U.S. However, it made the biggest bully in the U.S. respected. You ain't just gonna come in my house and push me around. That's what the Viet Cong did. That's what y'all need to do and stand on business. Instead, they come here and make podcasts about FBA while they're getting smacked up in their homeland and bragging about we just go here to hustle. That's an indictment on you. You saying that you don't have anything popping in your failed homeland, that you have to go to someone else's homeland to hustle. Okay, fine. You hustled and you got money and your homeland is still a failed state. So what point were you trying to make again?
No courtesy, no respect to learn other people's history. And you think we came here because of you? Shut your dirty black behind up, idiot. Talking about if you hate black Americans so much, why come to America? Do we come here for you?
Did you hear that? Shut your dirty black behind up. How did he become dirty? Y'all see the question. If you can't see it, it says, if you hate black Americans so much, why come to America? He was asked a simple question and then he goes on this deranged tirade. But these are the people that we're supposed to unite with. He called us a dirty black American. There's a viral video going around of this Haitian chick calling us dirty black Americans. And then we say, fine, you called us dirty. Y'all eat dirt cookies. You're a xenophobic African hater. How? Nigga called me dirty. I said that he eats dirt cookies. It's not a fact that I'm dirty. I'm zestfully clean. It is a fact that he comes from a lineage and a country of people that they eat dirt cookies. That's sad. I'm not trying to take pleasure in that. One is a fact, one is not. I ain't dirty. I ain't musty like that. You feel me? But he does come from a place, with flies and dirts and destabilization. And I wish it wasn't like that. I want to unite with people to help change that. I have to change my conditions here first because this is my homeland. But since he's saying you don't know the beauties of Africa, nigga, why you ain't in Africa cleaning it up? So people can't make these stereotypical tropes about eating dirt cookies. I don't like what's going on in genocidal Israel, but there's no tropes of them eating dirt cookies. Even Iran, right? Iran is getting bombed right now, but there's no trope of them eating dirt cookies. So it's up to the people in your homeland to help change that narrative because they've always given us a negative stereotype of us low IQ, savage, thuggish monkeys, right? And yeah, there may be some people where that stereotype holds true, but for the majority of us, it doesn't. We are the ones who fight and stand up to change that. Instead, y'all just put your hands in the sand, bend over and say, I just came here to hustle. Yeah, you hustling backwards and getting railed from behind. Nigga, you not like us.
You have no courtesy, no respect to learn other people's history. And you think we came here because of you? Shut.
Nigga, why would we want to learn your history? And first of all, we know your history better than you. And then your history ain't my history, bruh. I'm not trying to take no credit for some ancient Egyptian pyramids. Salute to those Africans that built that. That wasn't me. I tip my hat to them, but that wasn't me. I'm not trying to take credit for Mansa Musa. I'm not trying to take credit for Shaka Zulu. You know what I mean? So don't try to take credit for any of our icons and accomplishments. You're trying to say, we all black and we all descend from the motherland. Nigga, no, we don't. This is my motherland. It's called America.
Full of mud huts and mud cookies. You have no courtesy, no respect to learn other people's history. And you think we came here because of you? Shut your dirty black behind up, idiot. Talking about if you hate black Americans so much, why come to America? Do we come here for you? No. Did Africans come here for you? Did Caribbean people come here for you? Idiot. You are just upset because black immigrants that come here don't want to side with your degeneracy. They don't want to side with your ghetto behaving. That is why you're upset. We don't want to be pook.
So now you hear he going in like the question just says, if you hate black Americans, why come to America? From that, he said that we're dirty. He said that we got this degenerate culture. Man, Like I said, this is what we're supposed to unite with. And they say that FBAs, why y'all won't just call yourselves African American? Why y'all trying to delineate? Y'all keep trying to change y'all name. Nigga, we ain't keep trying to change our name. I never called myself African American. We always been black and just been standing on blackness. Yeah, on legal documents, they put that you're African American, or they only give you an option of African American, but you're forced and coerced to check that. We have a right to our intellectual sovereignty. And some people choose to be called American descendants of slaves, Solon, everything, right? I prefer foundational Black American freedmen. I say it all, you know what I mean? Because I want to put the prominence and respect on the name. Some people just say American freedmen. Some people just say I'm Black, but that's not specific enough. So I'll say foundational Black American Negro freedmen. However many I got to say just to let you know that I'm talking about a specific lineage, right? Me and this dude ain't the same lineage, right? And that's okay. But what's not okay is that this dude is tethering. Y'all think we came here for you? No, nigga, you think that we were standing up and fighting for goofy ass niggas like you to come over here? Hell no. The people that were fighting, they thought it was going to be people coming over here that was on code. They didn't know what they were going to be importing a bunch of tethers. Then people say, oh, y'all sending the tether, Myron Gaines, the Sneakos, the DJ Wackademics. Y'all sending these type of moist niggas over here. Yeah, it's time to shut this thing down. It's time to delineate. We can't build anything with this. This is why he hasn't built anything in his homeland, which is why he's so proud of fleeing, because he's talking about hustling, right? You are in a motherland that you can't even hustle in. A motherland is full of resources, but you can't figure out how to hustle your resources in your motherland. How pathetic could you be?
Africans come here for you. Did Caribbean people come here for you? Idiot. Listen, you are just upset because Black immigrants that come here don't want to side with your degeneracy. They don't want to side with your ghetto behaving. That is why you're upset. We don't want to be pookies or raries. We want to work hard, and you're upset, right?
And it's funny when they say ghetto behavior, but these people come from homelands where they're chopping each other up. They're coming from homelands where basically people go over there and run amok. There's a viral story of some Russian dude going over there just running through African women. There's a story of Oprah. She won't open a Black school in Chicago or Los Angeles, but she will open a Black school or an African school in Africa. And suddenly there's accusations of PDF activity, right? Where are the men in their homelands standing up for their homeland? Instead, they're trying to get on an inner tube. They're trying to get on the first thing smoking to flee up out of there. We're not the same lineage. They don't come from a warrior class. These people are not cut from the same cloth as Ibrahim Traore, right? In order to stand on business, imagine you saying that, hey, I want to build up Oakland. Okay, where you going to do that from? I'm going to build up Oakland from the comfort of New Jersey. Huh? The shit don't make sense, nigga. If you going to build up Oakland, you need to be in Oakland. Boots on the ground, organizing in Oakland to help enrich Oakland from Oakland. Right? He's saying that he wants to build up his country, or pretends as if these people come over here just to hustle. But you fly the flag of a country that you fled and you don't want to build up. So how much respect could I truly give you? Right? You didn't fight for a homeland, but you'll fly the flag. And then when that country is being bombed, people will fly a Nigerian flag, and Nigeria has rolling blackouts. People will fly a Haitian flag, and in Haiti, some people are making about $400 annually, right? But hey, you get to fly a flag and say that you better than the Black Americans. And then some people say, yeah, I send money back. You send money back to a select group of people so you can go over there and live like a king. But you go over there and the conditions are the same. How many Jamaican flags have you seen? And many of the most Jamaicans can't even access their beautiful beaches. But guess who can? A bunch of tourists and non-Jamaicans, right? You got you got Chinese Jamaicans and Indians smacking the black Jamaicans up, saying, I'm more Jamaican than you, right? And guess who they're taking the blame out on? FBA, saying y'all just don't understand. We 90+% of the population, but y'all just don't understand. The Chinese love us. That's why they running all of our businesses, right? The cruise ships love us. That's why they getting all this money, but not investing it back into the economy, right? You fly in the flag, but you won't go fix your homeland. I call that cowardice. And shout out to Big Rick Slaps.
Immigrants that come here don't want to side with your degeneracy. They don't want to side with your ghetto behaving. That is why you're upset. We don't want to be pookies or railways. We want to work hard, and you're upset, right? You're upset. Talking about, but the white man gave you everything. That's right. Idiot. Did the white man not give you HBCUs? Did the white man not give you PPP loans, EBT, Section 8, civil rights? They gave you everything. Even your...
And they didn't give us anything. We fought and earned things. And that's the thing. See, these other groups, they come over here and they get goodies, giveaways, and guarantees. We fight for things and we earn them, and then they're given away to other people. When there was affirmative action, that was supposed to go to foundational Black Americans. Instead, they remixed the term and said African Americans. So then a bunch of African immigrants benefited from it. And then they also threw in the term minority. So that means mainly white women benefited from that. Welfare was created for white women, so that wasn't for us. So all of the things that he named were universal things that we fought for to uplift everyone. And here he is, ungrateful, talking about y'all need to learn our history. Bro, we know our history better than you. And he doesn't even know our history. All he knows is stereotypical tropes. And mind you, he's getting this mad just because someone asked him, hey, bro, if you don't like us, why the fuck are you around us? And he didn't even ask it that aggressive. If you hate Black Americans so much, why come to America? And this warranted this disgusting tirade that this tether is on. This is what you call a tether tantrum and tirade.
But the white man gave you everything. That's right. Idiot. Did the white man not give you HBCUs? Did the white man not give you PPP loans, EBT, Section 8, civil rights? They gave you everything. Even your admixture was co-signed by your massa, talking about Africans come here but they hate Black Americans. No one cares about you, bro. See, we just don't care. Nobody hates.
And he's contradicting himself. He says no one cares about us while he's going on this incoherent harangue about us, right? It's like no one cares about the NFL. What you about to do? Make a video about the NFL? I thought you said you didn't care, right? No one cares about Black people. I got Black fatigue. What you about to do? Make a video about 1350 and Black gang violence? I thought you didn't care about the Blacks. You know what I mean? So for someone that doesn't care about us, he does have an awful lot of vitriol, right? How are we supposed to unite with this? We all the same? We all brothers? I think not.
Give you PPP loans, EBT, Section 8.
Look at all the shit that he's saying. Section 8, more white women on Section 8. Affirmative action, more white women benefited. Welfare, more white women get that, right? And the PPP loans, more white people have businesses and those type of investments. So more white people were bailed out from the PPP loans. So the dude think he's cooking, but I mean, this is what you call brain dead bushmeat babble.
No, did Africans come here for you? Did Caribbean people come here for you? Idiot. He said, you are just upset because Black immigrants that come here don't want to side with your degeneracy. They don't want to side with your ghetto behaving. That is why you're upset. We don't want to be pookies or railways. We want to work hard, and you're upset, right? You're upset. talking about but the white man gave you everything. That's right. Idiot. Did the white man not give you HBCUs? Did the white man not give you PPP loans, EBT, Section 8, civil rights? They gave you everything. Even your admixture was co-signed by your massa, talking about Africans come here but they hate black Americans. No one cares about you, bro. See, we just don't care. Nobody hates you, we just don't care. The problem is, you want black immigrants from Africa, the Caribbean, to fear and respect you just because your ancestors went through slavery? Look around. We all did. We all did. Do you see people of Congo oppressing black Americans because they went through what they went through? You want everyone to fear and respect you because of what your ancestors went through? No, that does not give you a pass to be ignorant. No.
What the fuck is this goofy ass nigga talking about? No one is oppressing African immigrants. You know what? I tried to wait. I didn't know if I was going to do it, but this nigga is getting on my nerves. Hey, Doodoo Tunde, I gotta hit you.
You know what, nigga? You acting like a little bitch right now. You acting like a little bitch right now, nigga. Man, fuck that. I ain't letting that shit ride.
Yeah, how are we supposed to unite with this? And I want to respond to, I think Tara was in the chat. She says, I know many Nigerians and I'm in a relationship with a man from Ghana. None of them are like this man. This is not all Africans. And I do want to clarify that no one is saying that this is all. I don't like to do a sweeping generalization of any particular group or demographic. However, whether it's all or not is irrelevant. What matters is that it's a significant amount and there's not enough people on of their lineage calling it out. That's what the issue is right now. And I know Roger is still in the building, right? If I give you a pizza, the most delicious pizza with all the toppings that you want, pepperoni, bell peppers, mushrooms, stuffed crust, right? And I put a little turd on the pizza, right? There's not a turd on all the pizza, but that little turd, it just ruins your appetite, right? That's how it is with these tethers. Yeah, not all of them is tethers. Yeah, but that's the little turd on the pizza. It's enough of them to ruin my appetite, right? Because nobody is explaining how the hell did this turd get on the pizza? So now not only does the turd need to get removed, we need a whole new pizza because I'm not about to eat no pizza with turd juice and shit like that, right? And that's how it is with the tethers. Okay, fine. You say not all of them are like that. Who is calling these people out? And then we need to know, where did this ideology come from? We can't just call it out and say, he says something bad. Okay, it's over with. No, he says something bad, but where is that rooted from? Let's truly get to the origins of that so we can really take this out. You know how, like when you killing the weeds, if you don't fully kill all of those weeds, it's just going to keep growing back. You know what I mean? So no, this is not all Africans. This is not all FBAs. This is not all non-black people, but there is a significant contingent that people don't seem to be reluctant to call out. So that means FBAs have to do the dirty work. And when that time comes, it tends to get a little bit messy. That's why you got to hold your own nuts, hold your own filth, because when we come do the cleaning, it could get a little bit hostile and belligerent.
You want everyone to fear and respect you because of what your ancestors went through. No, that does not give you a pass to be ignorant. No, Emmett Till does not give you a pass to be ignorant. Nat Turner, what happened to Nat Turner does not give you a pass to act ignorant. You are acting degenerate right now. Do the black British people act this way towards you when you go there because their ancestors were enslaved? Do they do that? Do the ones in the Caribbean act this way towards you because their ancestors were enslaved? You think you are special? No, you were special educated, boss people, idiot. Everything your ancestors fought for, you have given away. Everything your ancestors fought for, you have given away. You are not even.
Now, this I do agree with him. Many of us have given away the things that our ancestors fought for in the name of trying to be all inclusive, inviting people to the cookout, saying here, we gave away rock, we gave away country music, you know what I mean? Because we tried to be all inclusive and we want to say, hey, we're not those low IQ, savage, thuggish monkeys. We really care. We're empaths. We want you guys to love us. We want you guys to like us. So, all right, yeah, we started country, but if you want to take it and run with it, fine. Yeah, we started rock and jazz. You want to take it and run with it, fine. Many of us have been docile because we thought that it was going to appease the masses. We didn't want to come off as that angry black person, the Jezebel, Sapphire, etc. So many people kowtowed, capitulated, bootlicked, and oftentimes buck broke themselves. Many times it was a survival mechanism. People thought it was in their best interest to get upward mobility, career advancement. Many people thought it would get them closer to interracial dating and mating. You know what I mean? So a lot of people didn't want to upset the apple cart. So they said, okay, fine. You know what I mean? So now we've allowed these all-inclusive terms, which have led to ethnic and cultural erasure, which FBAs are the only group stepping up to rectify and change the trajectory of that. Because it was well known that it was foundational Black Americans fighting for civil rights with the help of some other groups. But the main promulgators of it was us. Now certain outlets are trying to frame it as people of color fought for civil rights. And that's just a goofy term. I already did a breakdown of that. I may have to revisit it, but people of color is just an idiotic term. It's an offensive term, but it's an erasure term, just like marginalized groups, overlooked groups, minorities. All of these things, they're just a ethnic erasure term, but also a social and ethnic caste stratification term. And we're at the bottom of those, right? They say they call white people palm colored. It's a bunch of palm colored Asians. And then they'll say they're people of color. They'll look at someone like AOC and Jennifer Lopez, who has the same complexion as most white people, and they'll say that they're people of color. They'll look at a bunch of Jewish white people that are Israelis and say that they're people of color. So the term really doesn't have any meaning. It's just served as here. They put a bunch of black faces. They crash out. Black people were getting dog sicked on them. Black people were getting lynched. So the way we're going to help them is we're going to give some minority grants to people of color. And who do you think is going to be on the bottom of that list? When they say minorities, if a white dude breaks his leg and gets a disabled placard, now he's a minority, entitled to the same benefits as you. If a dude's name is Bobby and he says, you know what, I'm tired of being a man. I want to change my name to Barbara and I'm trans now. He, she, they are now part of a marginalized group, entitled to the same benefits as you. White women, if they say white men are running the country, the white men are the president. So who would be the vice president? White women. But they've convinced you that the vice president is oppressed, therefore a minority, a marginalized, overlooked group. So we have to give benefits to them. So when you look at they doling out benefits, okay, white women at the top. Okay, a white dude who broke his leg. Okay, a white dude who's gay. Okay, a white dude who's trans. Okay, then there's a Native American, and then an Asian, and then an immigrant, an illegal immigrant, an undocumented immigrant. And then at the bottom is black people.
Replicas of your ancestors no more. Your Timu versions of Malcolm X. Your Timu versions of Malcolm X. You are not even yet.
Scribe makes.
So here he goes again, calling us dirty, calling us idiots. And notice that they always have to quote our leaders, right? He's saying that we're a Timu version of Malcolm X. Why isn't he quoting any African leaders? Who is the African version of Malcolm X? Right? Who is the Mexican version of Malcolm X? Who is the white version of Martin Luther King? Who is the Asian version of Fred Hampton? Notice all these groups, they hate us, but when it's time to quote, they can only quote us. See, they don't quote Cesar Chavez calling illegal immigrants wetbacks. Cesar Chavez is a prominent figure in Latino culture, right? How many times do people quote him calling illegal immigrants wetbacks? MLK never said that. MLK said an injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere. So they always got to quote our leaders to get some sort of moral clarity. But then when you start looking at their leaders, many of them were anti-black, i.e. Gandhi. A lot of people, I love Gandhi. Type in what Gandhi said about black people. Don't take my word for it. Just type in Gandhi anti-black, or what did Gandhi say negative about black people? Just type it in and see. He's not the only one. And then in his latter years, I mean, he didn't really apologize, but I guess he was regretful of his statements. But was he really regretful, or was it more PR? So we've been the most hated, and we still try to be all inclusive. Many of our olders and elders have sold us out. A lot of times it was for interracial mating, right? Somebody wanted to get some snow bunny cooch. They saw Emmett Till getting lynched for allegedly whistling, and now they like, now I can get some snow bunny cooch and no one's going to lynch me. Racism must be over. You know what I mean? Many of these boomers and silent generations, they come from when they had pensions and, the companies actually invested in the people, versus AI robots and undocumented immigrants that they can pay under the table, right? Your parents, they didn't have to deal with that at mass.
Ancestors fought for you, have given away. You are not even. Do they do that?
I do concur, though. We do need to stop giving away so much of our stuff, you know what I mean, to try to be all inclusive. And then that's why we delineating, right? And you'll see that there's a resistance. But what is the issue? We're really not hurting anyone. So the Arab nations, there's Arab nations that are enslaving Africans in Africa. And some Africans have more of an issue with us saying, hey, don't call me African American. They have more issues with that than Arabs in other colonial powers enslaving their people in their homeland. But I'm supposed to unite and fight with these people. They won't even fight for their own family. They're definitely not going to fight for any issue that helps us.
Right now, do the black British people act this way towards you when you go there because their ancestors were enslaved? Do they do that? Do the ones in the Caribbeans act this way towards you because their ancestors were enslaved? You think you're special? No, you were special educated boss people. Idiot. Everything your ancestors fought for, you have given away. Everything your ancestors fought for, you have given away. You are not even replicas of your ancestors no more. Your Timu versions of Malcolm X.
And Roger Meadow comes in with the super chat. So he says, we are not trying to get him to side with us. Pan-African. I think he was saying we are not trying to get him to side with us. Pan-African. I don't know what you were saying right there. Yeah, Pan-African, Scan-Africanism is dead. I mean, we ain't rocking with that.
Your Timu versions of Malcolm X, you are not even idiot. Painful.
And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is why a lot of Black Americans have delineated. You see, he's on that same mindset as Myron Gaines. Why do we want that to immigrate over here? Why do you think some Black Americans would not even mind pointing him out to Immigration and Customs Enforcement? Because we don't need a white supremacist in black skin here. You understand? And we understand that you come over here to get paid. We get that. We really do. Yes, it was our mistake to thought all skin folks are kinfolk. That's our mistake. We have to admit that we made a mistake as Black Americans, thinking that all these other groups think like we think.
Yes, we have to own that. We taking accountability. Look, we made a mistake. Now we course correcting, right? We thought that all kinfolk, or excuse me, we thought all skinned folk was kinfolk, and that's proven to be untrue. Now, if we want to, and you know, this is not the true definition of insanity, but let's just go with it, right? Insanity, by definition, is what they say, doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Now, we've been doing this over and over and over, right? What we haven't been doing is delineating and standing on ethnic, lineage, status specific business. Suddenly, we've gotten more things done, more progress, more prominence in a upwards trajectory just by delineating. A simple process of delineating has been able to shift the political landscape, and not only that, the mentality. People are having more pride for being American. There's nothing wrong with being African. There's nothing wrong with being European or Asian. There is something wrong if you're Asian and you're claiming to be European, or you're European and claiming to be African. Embrace your culture, your heritage, your lineage. We are not continental Africans. Every person you can say has some sort of African descent or some level of African ancestry. That doesn't make them African. Every FBA has some level of European and indigenous ancestry. Does it make them indigenous? Does it make them European? It makes them foundational Black American, which is an amalgamation of multiple groups. We had an ethnogenesis. Y'all can look and see how many generations does it take to form a completely new and distinct ethnic group. We've been here for a multitude of generations. So the admixture is not even similar, which is why phenotypically most of us don't look the same. Some of us do, many of us do not.
In the area of their blackness. They don't even think in the area of blackness, because some of them have a scam mentality and they scam in their homeland. So they don't mind coming over here and scamming and conniving and doing whatever they got to do to get what they want. They did it in their own homeland back home, right? Now, one thing he did say that I also would agree with him on, he said, you gave away everything. He's right. We did give away things to people because we thought that they were brothers and they were sisters. But what's happening with delineation is that we're correcting that right now. We are in a status correction with Black America. So we're fixing all of that. So you can be hostile like that all you want, but I promise you that's not going to end well for you in the end, because the white people are not going to, they don't want you here. They really don't want you here, because that's adding to the numbers for them. They know they want more Europeans in this country. They don't want you, sir. And if anything funny style in your paperwork, they're going to get you out. Now, why would you put out this video in this country? But why would you put the video out? Knowing the time period that we're in with the Trump administration. But clearly you're not educated or smart enough to understand this is not the time to be making them little stupid comments definitely about Black Americans. But Black Americans are all American citizens. They can't be deported. You can. Even if you're naturalized, you still can be deported. And the Black Americans find out where you work. That's the first thing they're going to do. They're going to find out where you work. They're going to make sure you're not working with anybody in the public. Or even if you're working a regular job, they're going to find that out. They're going to be trying to find out your immigration status. And you're doing all that talk. That talk may get you deported. It may, but then whose fault would that be? Yours. Because y'all come over here being hostile, some of you, toward Black Americans, like we did you something. We ain't did you nothing. We ain't went to no country of yours and do any harm over there in a collective sense. We have not. We haven't dropped a bomb. We haven't invaded your homeland. We haven't did anything like that. And yet y'all have so much animosity and smoke for Black Americans, but you don't have no animosity and smoke for that white man. That's the reason why you're behind had to immigrate over here. Because
and I agree with Brother Phil. So I'm going to play one more video and we going to get up out of here. So just give me uno momento.
B-Eazy Dat Dude. B-Eazy Dat Dude.
All right, and we are back at it. And this video that I will be reacting to is from the brother George Macon. It's on Street Media TV. The video is titled Africans Finally Admit FBA were the only ones pushing Pan-Africanism and global unity. Let's get into it.
And this is what we have to do. You have to save children in order to save the race.
I want to say something that some of you may disagree with, and that is, I don't think you can just work for black children. I think that the minute you start working on the problems of the black child, you find that you have to be concerned about all children.
You know what's
Did y'all hear that? So she said you can't just focus on the black child. When you focus on the black child, you gotta start focusing on all children. Where have we heard this before? All lives matter. This was in the 70s, and this shows you that we've been sold out by the buck broken, brain dead boule, and of course the powers that be that want to keep us cemented to the bottom, right? No other group does this. If they're talking to Jewish kids about advancing Jewish interests, they won't bring up minorities, marginalized groups, or any other group. They talking about Jewish kids. The topic will stay on Jewish kids. Instead, with us, they put a bunch of black faces out there to convince us that, hey, the way that you get liberation is by helping everyone else. Yeah, if a black school is failing, you know how we help the black school? We bring in a bunch of immigrant kids who don't speak English. Surely that will help the black school, right? Huh? Black people are struggling to get housing. So you know how we'll help them get housing? We'll bring in a bunch of immigrants and give them vouchers. That will help the black people get permanent residence, right? Huh? Black men are looking for jobs. They will work construction. They will do all of these other jobs. They may not have the money for training, but if they could get some money to train, they would do it. Then you bring in a bunch of immigrants, train them for free, house them up, and then say, they're just doing the jobs that no one wants to do. Well, I can bring 20 people that will do the job right now. Oh, no, I don't want to pay them American wages. So it's not about nobody will do the job. You just don't want people. You can't find people to do those jobs for those indentured servant wages, right? So let's get into the video.
Funny. You know, a lot of people is calling foundational Black Americans divisive and saying that we are divisive and we are dividing the diaspora. Where I'm saying that there was never a unification of the diaspora, right? Pan-Africanism was an idea that was really being pushed along by Black Americans. So many Black Americans have been standing on the front line of Pan-Africans over the generations. A person like me comes out of Pan-Africanism because...
Hey, thanks, Tara Sanchez. I appreciate you sliding through. Mi amiga, adios. Hasta la vista, you know, me hablo un poco de español, señorita. But yeah, you know, come back luego, you know, check hermano out, you know what I mean? And maybe you can come on the panel sometime, you know, and bestow us with some Latina culture and knowledge. If your Ghanaian boyfriend will permit it. I don't want that nigga coming after me. What the? I can't get jiggy with this sheet, nigga. Like, don't send no Ghanaian nigga after me. But salute to Tara Sanchez. Buenas noches.
So many Black Americans have been standing on the front line of Pan-Africans over the generations. A person like me comes out of Pan-Africanism because in our communities, we was raised to love Black people globally. When you came from other places, we opened up our arms and we brought you in and we ingratiated you into the culture. So much so that when we talk about hip hop, right, you got a lot of Jamaicans and Belizeans and so many of our brothers and sisters from the Caribbean that came in that helped innovate and add on to a culture that already existed in America, which is hip hop, right? But then these groups turn around 40, 50 years later and say that we don't have a culture. They start talking down on us. It's not like the people of our grandparents and great-grandparents' generation, where even during those times, they had issues because A. Philip Randolph, who is the father of the Black middle class, who helped create the middle class with the Pullman Porters, he was a restrictionist. He spoke on the West Indian coming here and having a different mentality.
And if y'all don't know about A. Philip Randolph, he is one of the GOATs in terms of Black excellence and, of course, American excellence, because he was a foundational Black American. But look him up, because people would be considering him MAGA because he was an immigration restrictionist, because he knew that not all, but there were many people that had the mentality like that tether that I just played, that they would come over here and their sole mission was to undermine us. And of course, they said they just came here to hustle, but they were hustling backwards. They were extracting resources from our community while at the same time separating and segregating themselves from us. If we're all the same, why would you need to make your own separate ethnic enclave? Why would you need a little Haiti, a little Cuba, Chinatown, Koreatown, Japantown? I thought we were all minorities, thought we were all people of color, thought we were all Africans, right? No. You guys want ethnic specificity. And I say, fine, keep your little Haiti, keep your little Cuba, keep your little Saigon, little Senegal. But when we want our ethnic specific enclave for foundational Black Americans, suddenly everyone has to be included. So a foundational Black American has to have Asians and Chinese and all these other people come in and set up shop there. But all these other enclaves, they get to maintain their ethnic sovereignty. Yeah. Okay.
In the foundational Black American. It's not me making it up, right? But you have a lot of Africans that's in their continent that talks about their generations. And they talking like this.
I have 3 businesses that are selling on Shopify. Once I figured
Africans, we lie a lot as if we know where we're from. Most of us can't tell you 2 generations past where we are from. And I've had the privilege of traveling in Africa a lot as well. And my identity is ubiquitous. Right? Nobody could tell where I'm from by looking at me. When I'm in Nigeria, they think I'm Igbo. I could go to Ghana, they think I'm Ghanaian. The average Gambian may look at me and look at us and say, you don't look Gambian. I'm just African. So, and part of the book is there's a chapter I talk about life as a hyphen where I'm African. I think I'm from the western part of Africa. That's what I identify the strongest with, is my identity as an African, but I have a Gambian cultural background and heritage.
Now, today, Bishop George, Street Media TV, is going to checkmate the game. Because coming out of the Pan-Africanism, and now we're in a generation where we found out that nobody's practicing that but us. But everybody's trying to take our culture and say that we don't have one, while at the same time keeping their culture, but not allowing us into their culture. Now, when it comes to Pan-Africanism, the term Ma'afa, that was created by Marimba Ani. We created that, the Ma'afa, to describe the African Holocaust. We have people like Malefe Asante here at Temple University, right here at my school, right? Malanga Karenga, who created Kwanzaa. Dr. John Henry Clark, who created the African studies in the universities in the 60s.
And just to be clear, my family never celebrated Kwanzaa. I know in middle school, they vaguely taught us about it and tried to promote it, and nothing against the people that celebrate it. I know there is some controversy behind it, but Yeah, we never celebrated Kwanzaa. Did y'all? Y'all let me know in the chat.
Hilliard, right? Marimba Ali, Chancellor Williams, the destructions of black civilization. We were the ones pushing the line, right? We watched our grandparents, and those were the ones pushing the line. And now we're saying enough.
And Roger coming in hot with another super chat. He said, I introduced Sabs to A. Philip Randolph. Got her book for her birthday, and salute to the sis, Sabby Sab. She is killing it over there on her channel. So salute to her. Love the content and all the work that she's doing. And Roger has already came in with 2 of the contributions. So I appreciate that. And just let me give y'all a friendly reminder. It won't cost you a fee. The likes are free. So take time, even if you hate watching this stream, hit the like for your boy. It will help boost this stream and the algorithm. I have a goal. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subs. I'm at like 700 and change. I got some new subs tonight. I sincerely appreciate y'all. Y'all could be anywhere in the world. Y'all chose to be here with me, at least momentarily. And for that, I thank you. But also, if you are feeling generous,
Pull a string, Red. Pull a string. Will you pull a string? Woman, where's my money? Where's this money? For the love of money. Gotta make that money, man. Gotta make that money, man.
It's enough because we found out that those people had no respect for our grandparents and the way that we were trying to push the line. We saw the elder James Smalls call out the Africans, right? So now when we're doing it and we're trying to name ourselves, that don't mean that we hate Africans. But I just showed you where that African said that they lie a lot. And they try to hold us to a standard that they don't hold themselves to. So now we're holding them accountable and we're calling it out. But it seems like we can be held accountable, right? We can be held accountable, but nobody can hold the African accountable. They're involved.
So, Dark says, A. Philip Randolph was boule and not to be trusted. Well, many people were boule. And if you want to just say that the boule in its entirety shouldn't be trusted, hey, I can go with that. I would say many of these political figures, public figures, movements, many of them, whether you can say they can be trusted or not, I say that they should be scrutinized. No one is above reproach. So A. Philip Randolph is no angel. Could he have said and done some things that you disagree with or maybe have been detrimental? Yes, but you can also find a litany of things that he done that were also positive, and he was at least trying to promote what he thought was for the betterment of the community. And also, a lot of times people do a little bit of Monday morning quarterbacking. They say, oh, well, you know, why didn't these people do this? Was like, dude, and I'm not saying you specifically, I'm just speaking in general, right? You're not getting dog sicked on you right now. The FBI is not wiretapping you. So why haven't you done half of what Malcolm or A. Philip Randolph and all of these people have done? Many people are more educated, allegedly. Many people have more money, allegedly. So why haven't you carried the mantle and took it to the next level? You know what I mean? Because many of these people are boule. MLK is boule, just like Roland Martin is boule. You know what I mean? But boule doesn't inherently mean that they're just against the community, right? They may do some things that are detrimental and you do need to call them out, but there were some boules that had a good heart and thought they were doing the right thing, right? Some would say that MLK was a useful idiot, right? And I can, in certain instances, I can say, okay, yeah, I can see that being true. And in other instances, he was a fierce fighter, right? Because people will try to take one little negative aspect about MLK and say that this is his whole existence and should be summed into that, right? And they'll be like, MLK allegedly cheated on his wife, which they don't really have proof of that. It's just speculation. But let's just say that it's true. Clearly, that's not a deal breaker, right? Trump cheated on his wife. Trump was a womanizer. Trump was an alleged pedo, and at the very least, a pedo sympathizer. MLK isn't accused of any of that. And people will lick the boots and spread cheeks and lick the crack of Trump. But then they'll try to say, well, MLK was a op. He was an agent. Okay, what does that make Trump? What does that make your favorite political pundit? And then I'll say, okay, fine. If MLK was an op, who else do you suggest? And then they give a name that are way worse and way more oppy than MLK. So what the fuck are you even talking about?
No. And in this video, I'm proving my point. Check this out.
You know, my husband studied in the US, and I always was like very critical of African Americans. And then I would say, oh, okay, yeah, I know. They're famous for basketball and music. What else? And my husband would say, start researching pre-colonial Africa and see who's writing. It's not Africans, it's them. So give them the dignity and the respect that they deserve, because while you live on this continent, you have done very minimally to research this continent before colonization. And when I had to do that for my PhD and the first book that I've written, I shocked myself because most of the writings, it's them. So I then said, okay, I was ignorant. I amend myself. I am now self-critiquing and snapping out of it. They are not only good for basketball and music and art. When African Americans are truly Afrocentric, even the term Afrocentrism, they came with it. They are the ones who've cautioned us and said, Pan-Africanism is this, guys, but Afrocentrism is this. You need to posit everything you're doing. If it's psychology, it's okay.
So I'm going to let her finish, but I'm going to rewind it back. But we were the ones teaching Africans about Pan-Africanism, even though we're American. They're on the continent of Africa and don't even know the concept of Pan-Africanism. And not only that, look at the inherent implicit bias. Oh, they think that we're only good for dancing and athletics, right? Okay. So if they think that we're only good for dancing and athletics, what are we supposed to think that they're good for, right? Because they can say, oh, well, all we see y'all do is dance and do athletics. Well, all we see is flies around y'all with a big stomach, a ashy kid, and some beautiful blonde hair white woman saying donate 50 cents. Is that all African nations and African kids living like that? Of course not. But if you want to stereotype, all stereotypes matter, just like all slurs matter. Y'all stereotype us and pigeonhole us into being athletes and dancers. Fine. Those athletes are making millions of dollars. There's not a bunch of athletes with flies around their face, you know, with ash and eating dirt cookies and stuff. And I'm not trying to say this to be funny or to disparage or denigrate. But they weren't trying to be funny. They were being serious when they think that we're only good for sports, right? But it is a fact that many of them are poor. Many of them don't making less than $5 a day, right? This is not speculation. This is truth. You know what I mean? So even if we were only good at athletics and music and talent, what the hell does that have to do with your resources in your homeland that are being exploited by non-Black and non-African people? They're worried about these frivolous things, and they're positioning themselves to be more African than us, which is why they love that term African American, because Africans just come over and could assume our identity. Y'all are African American. I'm African American, just like y'all. And then when we say, hold on, we're foundational Black American. Who y'all think y'all is? You don't know who you are. You don't know where you're from. I know exactly who I am and where I'm from. Many of them don't even know where they're from. Many of their homelands don't keep rigorous birth records. Many of their homelands don't have birth certificates and things like that, a huge archive, a digital database, let alone paper database. So do you really know who you are? Do you even really know when your birthday was? Just saying.
Famous for basketball and music. What else? And my husband would say, start researching pre-colonial Africa and see who's writing. It's not Africans, it's them. So give them the dignity and the respect that they deserve, because while you live on this continent, you have done very minimally to research this continent before colonization. And when I had to do that for my PhD and the first book that I've written, I shocked myself because most of the right.
And you're right, Tudnese. This person is clearly seeking attention. Suspected tether alert. Nothing that I said have been racist, but I mean, what did I say that was racist specifically? Quote me verbatim. And if you can't quote me, then I'm gonna have to get you up out of here because your trolling is low IQ and not sophisticated. And we really don't got no time for that, man.
Ratings, it's them. So I then said, okay, I was ignorant. I amend myself. I am now self-critiquing and snapping out of it. They are not only good for basketball and music and art. When African Americans are truly Afrocentric, even the term Afrocentrism, they came with it. They are the ones who've cautioned us and said, Pan-Africanism is this, guys, but Afrocentrism is this. You need to posit everything you're doing. If it's psychology, it's okay. We know the university could have been UCT, it could have been Oxford. They trained you the Western way. But as an African, go now and develop African psychology. Go and read Africa pre-colonially, how the relations were. Come with it down all the way. From that, you'll be able to craft what you call African psychology. So they're saying to all of our things, let's do that. So yes, I say to people, I love Africanism, but I've gone beyond that. I'm Afrocentric. Everything for me is about Africa and being an African.
And see, you have Africans that come here to America and they come around foundational Black Americans and they start learning the truth. They start finding out that we know more about their story than they know about themselves, right? And the ones that could see, because she self-admitted said she only understood basketball and music. She didn't know our contributions. She didn't know that we were studying Africa because we was told to study Africa. Everything that foundational Black Americans did, whether it was from education, to inventions, to music, to dance, to sports, we excelled in. We excelled in better than everybody. They left Africa and came here amongst us, and we taught them. They came to our curriculums and then took it back home. But yet and still say that we don't have a culture. So her husband had to check her and let her know, wait, whoa, slow your roll. Foundational Black Americans ain't no joke, man. Foundational Black Americans know this history, and they breaking it down. Even though they've been ripped of a thorough knowledge of self, they still know who we are. They're naming and claiming themselves. So now, once we found out that these groups wasn't honoring that, we separate ourselves and we start self-identifying ourselves. But I told you guys in my yesterday live stream that this thing started from within, because some of the biggest traitors to foundational Black Americans were other foundational Black Americans, the bourgeoisie class, that talented 10th class, those educated Black folks up in the Boston, Connecticut area during the 1800s, those that thought that had close proximity to the W man and the W woman, and they seen things through their lens. Well, let's take a trip down memory lane and let's look at the real big mamas. Let's look at these big mamas in the conversation that they was having, and you'll see the bourgeoisie raccoon class.
Apparently you can go from 0 to a complete site in just a single prompt with Wix Harmony. I don't know if this is going to be possible.
And this is what we have to do. You have to save children in order to save the race.
I want to say something that some of you may disagree with, and that is, I don't think you can just work for Black children. I think that the minute you start working on the problems of the Black child, you find that you have to be concerned about all children, don't you? I mean, if you're working on drugs...
Well, don't ask me that. I will never refuse any human being to come in there, but I'm concerned about mine, because you can't go, up in the Bronx when you haven't even cleaned up. I can't clean up my house. In other words, how the hell I'm going to clean up yours? I got to clean up mine first, just like this sister said, then clean up yours.
I don't think that we can work just on our own problems unless we are concerned about the total society. And as a matter of fact, unless we go across the river too, and we're concerned about a lot of things happening in the world. This is a very small planet.
Now the planet is so small, but this is what they always talk about, 1350. You got idiots in the chat like this, which I know this dude is just trolling. This dude is a known bigot. Why do most Black vote Democrat and want handouts and stuff. And if you leave another low IQ comment, I'm gonna get you out of here. Not for censorship, just because you're a bigot and a buffoon, and you're not intellectually formidable enough to challenge me. And I'm about to shut it down soon. Otherwise, I would drop the link. And Jeb, you would have to come up here and stand on business, because the high IQs, they always talk about 1350 and blacks are so dumb. But then when you challenge them to a debate, then they say, I can't come up. So people like this is pathetic. And you got this mammy over here talking about, well, you can't just focus on the black kids. We got to help everybody. And the globe is so small. So, all countries matter. But when they're talking about crime, they're not talking about all racial demographics. They're talking about a specific demographic. When they're saying this school is failing, they're not talking about all schools in the entire globe. They're talking about a specific demographic. In order to change the conditions of that specific school, we need to put a specific focus and a specific plan to target the redress and the revitalization of said community or institution. But this is in the 70s, right? And we still have these people now. You talk about reparations, and then they try to make it a whole global thing. You talk about Black Lives Matter, all lives matter. You talk about an anti-black hate crime bill. Well, all hate matters unless you're talking about the C-19 hate crime bill. And then they mention Asians specifically 14 times and allocate funds to Asian hate, right? But I thought all hate mattered, right? So it's people like this are the reason why our political power has diminished, why our institutions in our neighborhoods have been disenfranchised, because yes, it was the W supremacy that was subjugating and oppressing us, but it was also with the complicity of some of these buck broken, brain dead boule buffoons.
Agree with, and that is, I don't think you can just work for black children. I think that the minute you start working on the problems of the black child, you find that you have to be concerned about all children, don't you? I mean, if you're working on drugs...
Well, don't ask me that. I will never refuse any human being to come in there, but I'm concerned about mine, because you can't go, up in the Bronx when you haven't even cleaned up. I can't clean up my house. In other words, how the hell am I going to clean up yours? I got to clean up mine first, just like this sister said. Then clean up yours.
I don't think that we can work just on our own problems unless we are concerned about the total society. And as a matter of fact, unless we go across the river too, and we're concerned about a lot of things happening in the world. This is a very small planet. And we feel the impact of these forces. I don't think that we can concentrate just on what you call the black nation, so long as we exist in America, which is a sick society. Don't you think we have to work on that?
No, I don't.
I just wanted to define this as a difference.
I appreciate everything you're saying, but quite often when people do not understand, they cannot relate. And I don't really think you understand what's going on in black communities. Yeah. I think you're very comfortable. I mean, please.
Go ahead.
I think you're very comfortable sitting in your office and trying to be very community oriented from your desk and in your plush air-conditioned place.
It's not very plush.
No, but you have to get, I would like to see your office moved to a rat-infested apartment.
If I live in one of them roach-infested apartment
yeah, we've all known what it is.
No, but I live there right now. I mean, I live there right now.
But my point is, you have to understand how the system operates in order to take it over and to make it more responsive to you. Now,
so that's a subtle dig. You have to understand how the system operates. To make a statement like that is implicitly saying you don't understand how the system operates. So here, let me tell you how the system operates. And I'm just being pragmatic. See, you think that I can't relate to you, but I'm relating to the system, and you don't understand how the system operates. And, these sisters were on code, and this is the 70s. Guess what words you haven't heard yet? African. Did you hear any of them say African? You have heard the word black multiple times. Why y'all call yourselves black? Yeah, because we were the only ones standing on and standing for blackness. That's why. It actually means something to us. It's not just something that you wear and discard like many of these tethers do. We stand up and stand on blackness. That's what B1 is.
Infested,
Right. Yeah, we've all known what it is.
No, but I live there right now.
Everything you're saying, but quite often when people do not understand, they cannot relate. And I don't really think you understand what's going on in Black communities. I think you're very comfortable. I mean, I please
go ahead.
I think you're very comfortable sitting in your office and trying to be very community oriented from your desk and in your plush air conditioned place.
It's not very
No, but you have to get, I would like to see your office moved to a rat infested apartment.
If I live in one of them roach infested
Right, yeah, we've all known what it is.
No, but I live there right now. I mean, I live there right now.
But my point is you have to understand how the system operates in order to take it over and to make it more responsive to you. Now, there are ways of, and I think there are ways of turning programs around. I think all of you are involved in
Fairfax.
You take a walk.
Really?
Pardon?
Take a ride. I mean, really through Harlem, if you live there. Go at 114th Street and 8th Avenue, then curve all up through there. You'll see how the system works.
Indeed.
You will see how the system works. And when we see, professional people of our own race starts to work with that system, then we know, where it's coming from. And a lot of us Black people have to begin to learn that we are Black, and that man will always look at us just as that. Regardless of how much he might eat with us and pat us on our back, he still look at us for just what we are.
Taxes is feeling unwelcome. Now taxes.
Shout out to those big mamas, man. The one at the end almost brought tears to my eyes because she really broke that down and explained. And she got that woman, she set that bourgeois woman straight. And those are the traitors of the Black community, and they still exist today. She talking about she's assaulting their intelligence, trying to tell them that they don't know how the system works. And the woman turned around and told her, no, hold on, slow down. It's you that get in that system and start to think and move the way the W man conditions you to move. They told you in the King Leopold's letter, we must keep their women in 9 months of submission to work freely for us. We must keep their women in 9 months of submission to work freely for us. That's psychologically conditioning to make you be solely dependent upon them, right? So now when you come around your people with the mindset that they don't understand how the system works. And the woman said, no, the longer you are around them, you start forgetting your people, and you start to talk and think like them and tell them, no, we know how the system works. She said, just go down to 110th Street, 112th Street, you're going to see how the system works. We are very intelligent. We get it. We've been fighting diligently on the front line for generations to change the trajectory of our communities. And we have a whole history of what has happened to us from things that we built, right? We went into politics. We've done everything, right? And this country has went out of their way to always make sure to let us know that we are Black. So now what happens is when you have, like she said, the woman said she believes that you have to include everybody. She believes that you have to include all groups, even white folks. But that thought process still permeates through the minds of our people. And when you have the Black clergy and the so-called educated Black class that's connected to that Democratic plantation, these are the same people that's rewriting our story and pushing us out. So the conversation that was had back then with those big mamas is the same conversations that's being had now, except the grandchildren and great-grandchildren now are rebelling. And they're saying they're listening to Big Mama. We're separated from that. I got it, Big Mama. I know that y'all was on the Pan-African thing, but Big Mama, we can see now that in the last 60 years, Big Mama, it didn't work. So we're going to try it this way. And Big Mama going to say, okay, baby, just be careful. Just be careful, baby. But let me explain, Big Mama tell you, let me explain to you some of the tricks that I know that this W man and W woman will do when you go out there on the battlefield, baby. Right? That's what we doing. We know what Big Mama and them was on, but Big Mama and them not here no more, right? So now it's our turn to push the line forward and be the seed planters going forward so we don't make the same mistakes. So we look at what Big Daddy, excuse me, because I got to include Big Daddy. We got to look at what Big Daddy and Big Mama did, the role that they laid. Now we got to push the line forward. That's what we got to do, right? So, and we found out that they wasn't practicing Pan-Africanism and it wasn't working. So now we're writing our own story going forward. So now as seed planters, we're thinking futuristic. We're moving futuristic. So now 50 years from now, they're going to talk about our stories. We're now written into the story. And they're going to talk about the day that foundational Black Americans named and claimed themselves and separated from all that stuff that wasn't working. Don't mean that we hate other groups. It just means we want our own identity. But y'all gotta let me know what y'all think. If you made it this far in the video, hit that like button, subscribe to Street Media TV, leave your comment.
Yeah, go check out the brother George Macon, Street Media TV, and I'm going to play a quick clip, and then I'm going to get ready to get up out of here because I know that it's late. So this is one more clip. This is from the African Diaspora News Channel, and it is titled, "Why is everyone so obsessed with Black Americans delineating?" I'm going to play a clip of two white nationalists talking about FBAs and a white person who was running for political office, his response to that.
Yeah, they're talking about us. So let's go ahead and play it and let's go from there. All right, that's them on. Let me go ahead and put that and click the right button. Cool.
Regardless of the color of their skin, are more American than people who got here 2 years ago.
Most of that blood has been white blood.
Sure, that doesn't change the fact that the individual who lost their life or who sacrificed doesn't change that fact. I mean, proportionally, Black men are only 13% of the population. So yeah, I mean, most of it is going to be white blood, absolutely. But there are brave Black men in my state, in our state, who have gone to war, not just in the global war on terror, but in Korea, in Vietnam, World War I, World War II, the Civil War. Their contributions matter just as much.
That's true, but predominantly that experience has been one reserved for people of European descent. And I think it's important for us to make that observation and not just count that out.
Well, you can make the observation. It doesn't make it, it's an observation. It's empirically true, But look, if you're someone from Sweden or from South Africa, and you're white and you come here and you've been here for 2 years and you are on an H-1B visa, you are not more American than a Black American or a white American who's been here for 5 or 6 generations.
All right. So that's that video. We'll go back into it. But here's the thing. They're sitting up here having a big discussion about us, our lineage, what we got going on in this country. And the other guy to the left was a white nationalist. So white nationalists, now you're discussing about, it's not even your regular conversation. Your regular conversation. Now notice, I want y'all to notice something. You notice the white nationalists don't tell us to go back to Africa anymore? I noticed that a few years ago that they stopped saying go back to Africa. Like as I guess trying to, that's supposed to be so bad is to go to the African continent. And I noticed they stopped saying it when more Black people start taking trips to the continent of Africa. But even with delineation, they still not saying go back to Africa. And I say, what is it that they realized about us years ago? Why they stopped? Because forever, that used to be they go-to line for Black people. Well, if you don't like it here, go back to Africa. That used to be their thing. They don't say that no more about anything. Matter of fact, white nationalists don't say a whole lot like they used to. Now, I believe it's a lot of layers to that, but here's the thing. Delineation and what has happened with that, I believe has been the most, and I believe it's a spiritual thing that happened with Black people. No one person said it, no group said it, no non-group said it. I believe it was spiritual because everybody moved on one accord. Yeah, think about it. People that despised that delineation movement, things related to that, got on board after the 2024 election. You have to understand there was a lot of Democrat shills that got on board with delineation. You see, with the 2024 election, what they end up doing was showing the minority coalition black people that, hey, there's no such thing as a minority coalition. None. And they saw that because, okay, they had Kamala. She fit the mold of, I mean, what they say is a black woman. You know, she was already vice president. So for them, she was already qualified. And yet, once again, white women, Hispanics, Asians, LGBT, and all these other groups didn't show up for Kamala. And so they say, you know what? These people, we could never depend on them. Forget it. I think I'm going to go and join Delineation. And that's what a lot of them did. You have so many people who are Democrats saying, yeah, I'm cool on other groups.
Yeah, they're getting their Democrat bootlick wake-up call. So I'm going to go ahead and get ready to shut her down. Looks like we got 58 people in the chat. It won't cost you a fee. The likes are free. But just in case I didn't make that plain enough, let me give you a friendly reminder. Time for a like intermission. We kindly request that you show love to the channel's creator and platform by leaving a like, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell to stay up to date with all the latest content. Liking posts is completely free and helps the algorithm boost our reach. We want to grow the community larger and larger. So thank you all who take the time to support us. It does mean the world to us and doesn't go unnoticed. Okay, hopefully that gave y'all the opportunity to hit the like button. Now, I do have a series of short videos I'm going to play. Hopefully y'all stick around to the end, but I'll be shutting this thing down in the next 10 minutes. Before I get up out of here, you know, I gotta hit ya. Yeah. Hey! B-Eazy Dat Dude, yeah. Hey. Shit so hot it's burning up. Just go ahead and turn this up. I bring the pain like an aftermath of a car wreck. There's a lot of niggas that say they real. To me, that shit is far-fetched. Some cats is pussy. They really is on some feminine stuff. I ride up on them with the 40 ounces. It's a definition of adrenaline rush. What it do is sweet like cinnamon puffer. My niggas is rough like Willow Pass. Grew up out on Mary Mac, but I used to hang on Willow Pass. These birds that I roll with, outcasts and misfits. For the zip lips so you get hit when the fifth spit. Flat line in your pit. Trap habits is black magic, no voodoo. Get the bands like Goku. For the cocaine, they go cuckoo. Most these niggas is foo-foo, so I'm shitting on them like doo-doo. I can't fuck with y'all like tofu. I'm just saying, man, like Goku. Bad bitches at the house with me watching Netflix on Roku. Fuck them both at the same time, and I swear to God it was so cool. Street legend, real boss, I call shots cause I'm still saucy. I know some G's to the bike crack on Chirac and then fly back out to Mill. When they hear me flow, they say I be burning up, burning up. Cookies to the draw is what we burning up, burning up. What you ain't know, oh, we burning up, burning up. This shit so hot, it's burning up. Just go ahead and turn this up. When you hear me flow, say I be burning up, burning up. Cookies to the draw is what we burning up, burning up. What you ain't know, oh, we burning up, burning up. This shit so hot, it's burning up. Just go ahead and turn this up.
B-Eazy Dat Dude. B-Eazy Dat Dude. Yeah, they know the name. Stacking up the paper, but having money ain't a thing. Standing on business, burning hotter than a flame. From the block to the ballroom, you gotta stand the rain. B-Eazy Dat Dude. Yeah, they know the name. Stacking up the paper, but having money ain't a thing. Standing on business, burning hotter than a flame. From the block to the ballroom, you gotta stand the rain. B-Eazy Dat Dude, yeah, they know the name. B-Eazy Dat Dude.